Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful, 12th man. They've won us games.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Oh, but you ever get a text message and you read it and you're like, you don't know the tone. You almost want to get mad, but you're like, but maybe they meant it in a different way, you know?
Yeah, and I've sent some that people take offense at. I'm like,
when you did the 4-letter F-bomb to me and the word you afterwards, I was like, oh, what do you mean? But you meant something else.
Yeah, so you can't pick up tone from a text message.
Well, in this particular case we're about to get into, there's probably video evidence of the tone. I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
So, hey, by the way, it's TexAgs Radio. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
You know this is presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Gem of a guy. I did know that.
And this studio was hand-built by
Jason Rollo and Company, Rollo Insurance.
And this particular hour was put together by our good friends where?
At CC Creations.
That's correct. So, I read something this morning that caught my attention. You covered Mac Brown how many years?
Two years just covering Texas, and then other times when I was a national guy and talk with Matt. You know,
So I remember, I guess, when did Matt get to Texas? Like
98, I think.
Was that a little before
99? 98, I think.
Was it then? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I remember.
Maybe 97, but it was late 90s.
I remember liking him but hating him because he was the Texas coach, right? Like, but he was like, he's a very likable guy. And then I covered him a few times, and I was like, man, this guy remembered my name, like looked me in the eye. He had this like kind of a demeanor, like, I don't want to like you, dude. I want you to be bad. I want you to be rude.
He's a genuinely nice person.
Very nice and like engaging, and like I felt like
he's like RC.
Yes. Very likable. So that was hard for me. And then when he went to North Carolina, I was like, I think I'm allowed to kind of like him now, right? He's gone from Texas. I'm allowed to like him.
Okay, interesting.
Then I read this thing about Coach Elko that he said yesterday. Did you see this?
No.
And it's not mean. Well, it depends on tone. And I haven't heard. I searched for it. I couldn't find the tone. Okay,
so what did he say?
And I can't listen to a 30-minute press conference of Mac Brown. So basically, he's talking about how there's been some negative recruiting.
Can't listen to Mac Brown for 30 minutes?
Well, I could.
That'd be really neat. Be good for college football, really neat.
That's pretty good. He said Coach Elko was telling recruits that I'll be at Duke longer than Mac will be at Carolina. And then I called him when he went out to A&M and said, okay, you lied. Well, I didn't think I was going to leave, according to Elko. Yeah, I got it. I hear all of that. So that's kind of the exchange. So I'm thinking he's meaning it playfully.
Yeah, probably.
But I got my guys back.
Yeah.
Because he did leave North Carolina for Texas at one point. Just saying.
I think it's probably this, if Mike said that, it probably meant, hey, Mac is like 80. I'm 50. The odds are he dies before me.
Well,
okay. So you got that. Eventually he's got to retire, right? But yeah, I'm sure he wasn't thinking that Jimbo Fisher was going to start mailing it in and have to.
Well, he worked with him. He may have known.
Maybe. Hey, Jimbo's demise began the day Mike Elko left, in my opinion.
Or when that Colorado game where we realized the offense even doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter. It's not going to work. That, to me, that was the moment.
Yeah, but it was all.
That was the moment for me.
Except that they came back later that year and
still lost 4
and beat Alabama.
They did, and then they lost to a bad LSU team, and they lost to an Ole Miss team that was good, absolutely good. They should have won.
Yeah.
at least for 2 quarters.
But so anyway, back to the point is, Mac. I bet you Mac's as good a guy as he is. I bet you he said some things in recruiting,
negative recruiting for sure,
that people could interpret negatively if they so desired.
Well, a couple things have to be true, and we saw it here at A&M when the baseball coach left. Right in that moment, you can believe it to be true.
Yes.
I did not think I was going to leave ABC 13 ever. You probably didn't think you were leaving the Statesman.
You would probably say that I will leave TexAgs before you do.
I'll tell people that. Well, I don't know. I had
and you
lunch
probably would believe it.
I don't know. I had lunch with
Unless
Billy
I'm one of
yesterday.
those guys that live to be 100. Yeah.
Right. But I understand in the world of recruiting, you're going to use whatever. Look, you don't even know if he's going to be there next year. The dude's 80. Like, how old is Max? 74, 75?
I don't know. He's pretty old.
Right? Yeah. He looks good for whatever age he is.
He's getting up there, but yeah.
But I can understand, like, you don't even know. But that's the world of recruiting, right? Like, you have to combat negative recruiting no matter. Because what did people say anti-Jimbo? Well, the offense, which was unfortunately true.
Yeah.
The offense isn't going to be very good to you. You're not going to get the ball very much. Look what they're wasting Evan Stewart. Like, those kind of things were used against A&M.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So.
Probably still are.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Until
proven otherwise.
Until Colin Klein comes in here and turns this into an explosive offense. Man, A&M, they had all the elements of an explosive offense, and Jimbo was a wet fuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's interesting because it's such a long offseason, the tennis match that we have with what Elko's offense is going to look like or Elko's team.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, we suffered through the last few years. And I think had it not been such a high, the drop, because the 2020 season was a high. If people don't want to buy into it, it was such a high that you really felt we're finally that team that we've talked about being. And and now that it's here, it's not going to stop.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that they were at a place where they were really taking off, and the 8-win season would be the disappointment.
And now people are saying 8 wins would be a good season.
Acceptable. Mm-hmm. Let's make that clear.
Some people say good.
Some people
are dumb.
Yeah. 8 wins at Texas A&M in the first year of a head coach could be acceptable. Because you wouldn't be the coach here if there wasn't issues.
How about year one Sunderland level of good, but sustained? That sounds good to me.
Yeah, sustained is, yeah. I want year one R.C. Slocum and sustained, which it was.
I would love a R.C. Slocum type career from Coach Elko. Look, I want more.
Yeah.
But I'd be very happy with that career right now. Because all I know is 500 football.
I'd take the winning percentage, that's for sure.
I mean, it's me. It's all me because it was going up.
No. It was, you know what? I think we should have learned to appreciate Kellen Mond more. And Kellen drove me crazy.
Or a good offensive line.
Definitely. How many, we say this all the time. You do not have a good team without a good offensive line. I'm not sure if offensive linemen shouldn't always be the priority.
Yeah. Well, and I felt like they made it a priority, but they didn't coach it that way. They didn't develop it that way.
But they took so many projects before in the offensive line. Hey, yeah, this guy's a project, but we think we can turn him into this. And, and maybe it's because you had to, because you were getting beat on all the big high-profile guys. But I'm not going to call out any names on air, but I could probably come up with 5 guys that you would say, why would, project, guys that you gave scholarship to that never rarely played. When they played poorly. So
something else that Max said that has nothing to do with A&M, but it's just kind of, the new rules are coming out with 105 scholarships, and I think soccer is going to be allowed 30, and baseball is going to be allowed whatever it is. Matthew can give you the exact numbers there. But there's a lot of changes that we've seen in the last few years. So here's Mac Brown, which makes me feel kind of young, actually. Typically in this town, I feel old.
Yeah.
There's been more changes in my last 3 years than my first 47 as a head coach, Mac told the ACC network. I'm 47. That's why I find it
So he's saying he's been a head coach for 50 years?
What he's saying.
Wow.
Or a coach. He's probably meaning a coach. Yeah,
okay.
Not a head coach, but
okay.
coach. Somebody said today, why don't you write a book about your first day at Appalachian State or Appalachian State? And was he at Appalachian State?
I think so, as an assistant.
In '83, he was the head coach.
Okay. And how things have changed. Some people have to die first. We couldn't say all the things. We're dealing with things we've never dealt with before that people can adjust and make work are just going to be the ones that have the best programs. It's not ideal for any of us. None of us voted for it, but it's here. Amateurism is gone. We're the mini NFL, so we've got to figure out how to handle it.
All of that's true. What would you? I'm not saying you're disagreeing.
Yeah.
But
no, all of it's true, but all of it's been true. Like we've been seeing. This has been the world we've been in for the last 3 years.
Yeah. So, you embrace it and figure out how to navigate it and thrive in it, or you become a struggling program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why so many people were pissed off at A&M 3 years ago, because it didn't work out with that recruiting class. But A&M was getting things, and no, they weren't. As we know, they weren't spending $30 million. Just incredibly lazy media. But getting an NIL, getting ready for NIL, and attack it and do everything that you needed to do, and people are like, oh gosh, look, those Aggies, they're cheating and doing this, even though.
Remind me.
Everybody was doing the same thing.
Did Drake May get hurt last year?
Drake May.
I don't believe he did, right?
I don't remember.
He did not. Okay, so going 8-5 in the ACC with an elite quarterback is a bad year.
Well, that's why Gene Chizik got fired. Say that.
Well, that's part of it, yes. But that's a bad year.
Yeah.
Because he's considered an elite quarterback, one of the top 5 in college football. He was supposed to be.
I thought. Right? I personally like him more than the guy that went number 1.
So if A&M has a top 5 quarterback in college football, healthy, right? They are 9-3, 10-2. They're not 8-5.
Yeah, you would think. Of course, I'm the guy that always reminds everybody that it's not all about the quarterback. I can remember when Jay Cutler was one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in college football.
Yep.
And he was like the 5th player taken. He's Jay Cutler. He played at Vanderbilt. Was Vanderbilt suddenly one of the, no, it takes more than that. Caleb Williams. Why do all these quarterbacks that I keep bringing up?
It does take more.
So why are they always linked to Chicago?
All right, but if you have the quarterback.
But that's the first step, the biggest ingredient.
How about this?
That's the eggs in the cake.
I got it for you.
I want to hear.
You like it. This is actually
I'm
possible.
Like
what I'm about to present you. I can tell you're
now
intrigued.
I'm literally on the edge of my seat.
Top 5 quarterback and an Elko defense. Game over. Over. What happens then? An Elko defense that we're used to seeing, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a top 5 quarterback. That's 10-2. Y ya se acabó el juego. Game's over.
Man, were you talking to Zane there with what you just said? That I couldn't tell if that was Spanish or Yiddish.
It was a little Cuban accent.
Okay.
Popped out. Ya se acabó.
Okay.
It's over.
All right. I
can't
wait.
Agree? But do you agree with that?
If you give me another top 20 defense, which I think that they're going to be better defensively than they were last year, I really believe that. If you give me a top 20 defense and a guy that has proven himself among all the quarterbacks in the country,
a guy that
had one of the top 5 seasons,
yes,
you're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Right, like to me. And of course, there's more that goes into it than just those 2 parameters. Because if those 2 parameters happen, that means you have a pretty good offensive line.
That means you're getting some blocking, and
if you're going to have a top,
and you can't be a top 5 quarterback if your receivers aren't catching the ball.
Right.
Yes.
And you can't be. I mean, you can be a top 20 defense, but if you're a little better than you were last year, that means your secondary is actually playing well.
Yeah, and
there's a lot that goes in. It's not as simple as I make.
There is so many reasons. Gosh, I wrote a little bit about defense yesterday, and A&M has like the guys on the roster now. The guys accounted for like 39.5 sacks last year. Now, not all of them were at A&M, obviously. Right. And But so you know they're productive. 39.5 sacks.
It's good.
Last year would have ranked like 11th most in the nation.
Yep.
A&M had like 42 last year, and the teams. Three of the four teams in the playoffs had like 35 or more sacks last year. But it's not just sacks, but that's usually the jumping off point. The point is, not only do you have the guys that are capable of doing that, but now you remember when Elko was here, and I know he's not technically in charge of the defense, but his influence is going to be there. He was so good at dialing up the corner blitz or the safety blitz at the right time, bringing pressure from places where your opponent wasn't expecting it, and I think you're going to see more of that. I think
I want you to hold the defensive thought because I got a whole segment dedicated to that article.
Well, then let's go on.
But the bottom line is, if we get those two things, they're gonna. And look, can Connor be a top 5 quarterback? In my eyes, he can be because he played at that level in the short sample set that we've seen. He's had a couple of not great games, right? Auburn and Auburn?
Twice against Auburn.
Yeah.
One time he had no receivers and A-Chain he had nothing going for him.
And then
he still threw a touchdown pass late that kept him in the game.
And then the other one he got hurt.
And then the other one he got hurt. And
the offense wasn't really moving in the first half.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Okay, tell me more.
How many times did they get like inside the 20, move the ball inside the 20, and then, there was a sack or whatever. He was playing okay. He wasn't playing great. He was playing A&M. Go back and look at that first half. Yeah. They're moving the ball. Twice they got down, and then different things happened where they had to settle for field goals.
Overall, when we've seen him play, he looked great against Miami.
Yeah.
He looked great against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He wasn't the reason we beat LSU, but he was a reason we beat LSU 2 years ago.
Yes.
Right? A-Chain is the reason, but he was a reason.
Because not only did he throw a couple touchdown passes, but there were, and we've talked about this before, I can think of 3 different times when he scrambled and picked up a first down that on third down that continued what would be scoring drives.
Yeah. Let me read this text. By the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, we'll talk to you. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. Your local experts, they buy guns, used guns, ammo, and accessories. Go to bossfirearms.com and start earning money like a boss. All right. Let me read this text quickly from PG Ag in King Oaks. I've heard you all mention the new studio several times. Is the show actually moving there? Just curious. How do we answer that? No.
Yes.
No, we're just going to build a studio so we can show it. Like when people come to the office, look, this is what we could do. Now, of course, PG Ag, we are moving in a new studio. When? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think soon. Not like tomorrow soon, but 2024 soon.
Yes.
2024 football season soon.
Well,
maybe August soon. Maybe.
The last time I walked in there, it looked like, okay, what are we waiting on?
Well, there's a couple things going on.
It's kind of like
we got to get the right technology. We're taking this show.
Whoever's in charge,
it's gonna be a live experience.
What did we hire somebody from the highway department to come over here and do our studio? Because you're like,
they didn't put a medium in the middle.
They're taking forever. And you're like looking at us. Okay, what are we waiting on?
No, they're working. They got many projects going on. They got a project there, project here, project everywhere. TexAgs is moving and shaking.
Yeah.
Can we go around the room and say hi?
Let's do. Before I say something that gets me in trouble.
Hey, let's go behind the glass and say hi to the Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
Hello, sir.
How much?
Savage, is that like that thing that goes in your nose?
Yeah,
and clears
the Savage.
your
It clears.
Sinuses out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Nick will clear out your sinuses.
We should get them as a sponsor for
We
Nick.
should.
Is that
because
I'm smelly, OB? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I wouldn't know. I haven't used the Savage to clean out my sinuses.
I got you.
Have you ever done one of those little neti pots?
No.
Oh, it's great. You see all the gunk come out? It's fantastic.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyways,
speaking of gunk, let's get back to
yeah,
Nick.
exactly. So, y'all were talking about how 8-4 is, what'd you say, acceptable this year
in a first year.
How much does a win over either Notre Dame or Texas, affect the weight, I guess, of the schedule? Like, let's say they go 7-5, but they win one of those games or maybe both of those games. How does that change the way y'all look at at a first year that ends up that way?
Does it?
I don't know. It kind of depends on I'll know in that moment.
Obviously, it was okay. Here's what Aggie's got to do, because I think a lot of them say, if 8-4 and beat Texas, you got to change that mentality. It's a given you want to beat Texas, but there are bigger things than beating Texas, and the bigger thing is getting to the playoffs and winning games and maybe a championship. And if you went 11-1 with a loss to Texas, I'm taking it, because Texas is just another team on the schedule to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's kind of look at it like this, and I hate to bring it up like this. In 2021, when the news came out, A&M was on this trajectory, and Texas was, I don't know if they were on the downward slope just yet, but they had just hired a new coach, right? That was Sark's first year?
I think so.
Right? And A&M was coming off of the 2020 season, so we're thinking exactly what we talked about 4 minutes ago, which was, we've arrived, this is our time. Unfortunately, those narratives have switched.
Yeah.
A&M has the new coach. Texas just played in the playoffs, which A&M should have been in 2020, and their arrow seems to be pointing up, and ours is, we definitely think it's pointing up, but like, there is a caution out there because it's A&M. Unfortunately, that's where we are right now. Everything has kind of flipped from when this news came down.
True. I'm still saying that 8-4 is an acceptable year, and if you beat Texas or Notre Dame, you're still 8-4.
Yeah. But if you're 8-4 with a loss to Texas, it feels way worse.
If you're 8-4 with a win over Texas or Notre Dame, then I'm saying, what game did you crap the bed against?
Yep. And why?
Did you go to Florida and once again you can't win on the road? Is that why you finished 8-4?
I am worried about that game. I'm really worried about that game.
Well, I'm worried about them all, but you got to go in there feeling like you're going to win.
I just need the bleeding to stop. Win on the road, please.
Right. So that's my point is, hey, beat Notre Dame, and then what happens 2 weeks later, you lose at Florida, and you finish 8-4. Am I feeling great about 8-4 because I beat Notre Dame?
I got to see the whole story.
How did you feel about 5-7? I know 5-7 is not as good, but how did you feel about it, even with a win over LSU at the end?
Felt better than 4-8. It still sucked.
That's my point.
Coffee Talk, presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. Let's give away a coffee, not a copy.
Yeah.
Let's see. What number?
8 for those 8 wins. That is
Texter number 2.
Number 2.
For 10-2. Texter number 2. And Johnny Manziel.
Maybe we should make it for 10.
But I just said 2.
Okay, you already went into 2.
All right, Texter 10. Sorry. That's how it's going to be. Free bag of TexAgs Coffee if you text the word coffee. Right?
Coffee.
That's
yeah,
the word.
It's COFFEE.
979-693-1150. Matthew Dawson will take care of that. We're way late for a break, so Dawson, no talking for you, buddy. Sorry. We'll come back to you in a moment. All right? Right now.
He's giving the thumbs up. He's okay with it.
You know what thumbs up means?
Gig him?
Yeah. You know what else?
Means okay.
International sign of Aggies to each other, the Association of Former Students. There's a lot of thumbs up in the air when you talk to those guys. You go walk into Porter Gardner's office, thumbs up, buddy. That's how he rolls.
Yeah. I was years ago, the first time I ever dated an Aggie, and we were on a trip, and people started coming up to her and talking to her. Why? Because they just saw the ring.
The Aggie ring. Yeah, the Aggie ring. You want to help out? You probably would, because you love to volunteer at events. In fact, if you're looking to have OB a volunteer at a bar mitzvah, birthday party, he can sing the national anthem, just text him at Olin at texagsfake.com. All right, so anyway, let's talk about getting a job at the Association of Former Students. They're looking to hire professionals. They're the premier alumni association serving that A&M network, and they help out with all these great events. We talked about the Aggie Ring. They do Aggie Ring Day, Howdy Socials, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. And, of course, they exemplify those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with somebody that would be a great fit, visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. And we're back. Matthew, why don't you pretend like you're me talking when I say things, right? Right? Just move your lips when I talk. No, I'll talk. You just do it. Ready? Okay, you're terrible at this so far. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. You did okay. Yeah, for those watching.
I thought so too.
Yeah, whatever. Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Give us some news.
Well, today is Friday, July 26th. Can you think of, use your big brains over there, what is important about July 26th of the year 2024?
We're a month away.
Well,
is that when the NIL was approved or something like that?
So you're missing it. Today is the opening ceremony of the Olympics, guys.
Oh, I thought you said 220.
They're still doing that? They still do the Olympics?
They do still do the Olympics. It's in Paris.
I'm kidding. I'm paying attention. We got a lot of athletes, Aggie athletes out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's 10,714 athletes competing this year in the fourth largest Olympics ever. And we got 24 athletes that we've identified who all attended Texas A&M, representing 10 different countries.
So is it okay for us to root for the Americans? Because I've been told that being proud of your country is supposed to be a bad thing.
I'm very proud of our country.
Okay, so am I, but I'm going to root
for
the
Republic of Texas is amazing.
Now that's a country.
Now that's a country, yeah.
That is a country. We got 11 athletes in track and field, 6 in swimming, 2 in diving, 2 tennis, 2 archery, and 1 in cycling. I mean, I think we got a lot of athletes that we're going to be cheering for. I mean, those events extend from July 31st to, I believe, August 11th. So you can catch in any of that
August
window.
August 11th, the birthday of Irma Buchanan.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
So they're going to close the Olympics on her birthday.
By the way, speaking of birthdays, Papi Nuño, Robert Nuño, my dad, turns 94 on July 31st. We're doing a little celebration for him tonight.
As you should. I should give him the whole week as a celebration.
Cuban sandwiches. And so my dad likes mariachis.
You don't like pickles though, right?
No, pickles are communist.
But they're great on a Cuban sandwich.
Yeah, I take them off. And I actually tell them beforehand because when the pickle permeates and the juice gets all over the sandwich, it ruins every sandwich.
I love pickles.
Yeah. I would rather watch Texas football than eat a pickle.
What if there's Texas football and they're winning?
No, I'm probably not. I'll probably eat a pickle.
It's a pickle.
Anyway, we're celebrating my pop's birthday. We're supposed to have we're not Mexican, right? We're Cuban, so it's different culture, but he loves mariachi bands.
Yeah.
And we were going to have some mariachis come by and surprise him. And they can't come now. So now, so if you know any mariachis that are willing to come by in Sugar Land, hook a brother up. Anywho, Matthew.
Quick correction. July 27th is the first event that starts that has
that's what I was
Texas A&M Aggie
say.
in it.
Yeah, that's what we had done research on this. And Obi and I looked at each other like, what is wrong with this guy? Get the date right.
I know. Unbelievable. I can't even figure that out.
We thought he was real smart.
Yeah.
I know. What's up with me today? Unbelievable. But I do want to talk about, we got countdowns, okay?
Yeah.
How many days do you think it is until the first Aggie sports athletic event?
Okay, that'd probably be a volleyball game.
Well, soccer's coming up like an exhibition.
Soccer.
Yeah.
8 days.
I'm Team World. Okay, Team World.
And tomorrow, while you're out at the TexAgs kickoff, just know in the back of your mind that we're 7 days away from Texas A&M athletics basically kicking off next year.
Does soccer have is soccer an Olympic sport?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, the women yesterday played in an exhibition and destroyed some smaller country.
Yeah, the highlights of that were pretty nuts.
I can actually root for the women's soccer team again, I guess.
Because your girl's not there? We don't have to go into that. Matthew, continue on.
Well, I also want to talk about OB, and we talked about this a little bit off air. The quarterback situation in college football, you're saying, hey, you don't necessarily need a great quarterback to win football games, and I would like to agree with you there. The combined record of the top 3 draft picks last year was only 22-12 last year. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels.
You take Daniels
Drake
out
May.
of that, and it's 12 and whatever he said, 10, 12 and 10.
Or 15 and 9.
So what you're saying is having a great quarterback is not enough.
Not enough.
Having a great quarterback.
You have to have a semi-elite defense to go with it.
Yeah. And you get by. If you got a heck of a running game, you got a bunch of road graders and a good – well, look, was Kellen ever a great quarterback? No. He's a good quarterback.
He was very good in 2020.
But he is not a great quarterback.
like, didn't he have Connor Esch numbers like
No,
what
he
was
had
it,
good numbers.
19 touchdowns, something like that, and 2 interceptions, something to that effect.
Yeah, he had 3 his last year. That was been a problem. But the point is, they were good They were good because they played good defense and they had a strong running game.
Yeah.
In an era where the quarterback is arguably most important right now, only 4 Heisman Trophy winners in this millennium have actually gone on to win the national championship, and only 1 in the college football playoff era. That was Joe Burrow.
He was good.
Hey, remember what happened to LSU the year after Joe Burrow?
They took a dip. It seems.
Took a dip.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, maybe Jaden Daniels, LSU, they maybe take a dip.
I would expect it, except I look at that schedule. I mean, what a cakewalk!
I know. I want that schedule. I do. I don't. If I'm A&M and I get a Missouri schedule, I'm like, finally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not apologizing for it.
I'll see you in the playoffs.
A&M's schedule is pretty, especially their conference schedule is as about as advantageous as you could hope for.
Yeah, until you look at other schedules.
There's only about 3 or 4 of them that are conference schedules, just conference games that are. There's only about 3 or 4 that would project to be easier.
Is that it?
Yeah, maybe 5. Maybe 5 at the
17.
most. No, maybe 5 at the most.
24. Matthew, anything else before we hit a break?
It's all you guys.
All right, buddy, thank you very much. All right, I've been driving buddies a lot recently.
Okay.
A lot of buddies.
All right. I mean,
were you a big Buddy Lembeck fan?
I don't even know who that is. Is that the elf?
No. No. Charles in Charge. Good show.
Scott Baio?
Yeah, Scott Baio. Yeah.
Baio, is that how he says it?
Yeah.
I like that guy.
But it was Willie Ames, his partner.
Willie Ames.
Yeah, he was also on Charles in Charge and 8 is Enough.
Yeah.
We've talked about him many times on this show. I don't know why.
Ames.
It comes up all the time.
No, I didn't see a lot of Charles in Charge.
You should.
I think that
Nicole Eggert.
Yeah, she was kind of hot.
I was going to say she was a great actress.
Later in her, she was a kid then, but later, and then she got, out of shape.
I haven't looked. I believe it, but I haven't looked. All right, I'm just going to pivot from that.
Cancel me.
No, we're in a new world. There's no canceling right now.
Yes.
Don't cancel your membership to TexAgs.com. That's all I ask. All right, hey, let's talk Heritage Films. YourHeritageFilm.com is the website. They make documentary films. Nicole Eggert could have it. She probably has a documentary done, don't you think? Yeah, she probably does. Anywho, you can do a documentary film about your dad, your uncle, your family business, your family ranch. And I'm saying it kind of bored because there's so many different options that you should be excited about it, right? There's so many different things you can do with Chance McClain to tell a family story, 2-hour documentary style. He does it. He's very creative. And those who have done it have reached out to me and said, David, thank you for telling me. I needed to do this sooner, and I'm glad I did. And we're celebrating my pop's 94th birthday, as I told you. And I'm so happy that we did his heritage film a couple years ago because you are not promised tomorrow. Do not wait. These are cool things to do. You can also do a Year Flicks, which is a 20-minute Q&A video reserved for the younger kids in the family. When they're 12 years old, you kind of tell the benchmark of where they're at in life, some Q&A, fun stuff. Then a little bit later, another benchmark video. And then when they graduate college, you get yourself a 3 or 4-part story. All right, YourHeritageFilm.com is the website, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. By the way, Obi, I like that shirt. I don't know if you've worn it before or not, but I like it.
I have. I got it. I think I got it at CC
Creations.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good for the gun show, too. I see some popping.
Do you?
You been lifting?
Well, yeah, I mean, no more than usual, but, you know.
Look at those guns, bro.
Somebody get me some tape because I'm ripped.
Oh man joke. All right, can we do 24 and 24?
Let's do.
All right, it is time for 24 and 24, presented by our friends at FBS Appliance, committed to delivering an exceptional experience from start to finish. You can trust them to provide unparalleled service and support every step of the way because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas and find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. And with that, we have number 21, Donovan Green. So back-to-back days of tight ends.
Yeah.
And Billy really went into depth about that position yesterday. So if you haven't listened to that, when I had Billy in studio, we did talk Donovan Green because we were talking about Trey Watson and then but let's not forget how freaking good he was his freshman year.
He really was. He had 22 catches, but he missed 2 games.
Yep.
He's a freshman. Now, can he block? Could he block better? Yeah, but you can say that about any freshman, especially a freshman offensive lineman struggle in the SEC. So here's this kid. He comes in as a freshman, and blocking might have been an issue, but I was sold on him right away. Again, it was the Arkansas game that he really distinguished himself. I remember him catching a short pass, turn up field, and turn it into like a 15, 20-yard gain right away. Showed that acceleration that he strikes me as a wide receiver in a tight end's body.
Yeah.
Just stay healthy. And I remember the catch he made right off the top of his shoes against Arkansas, and a big 3rd down conversion, if my memory serves. But I think he could be special as a receiver. Maybe I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but maybe in the mold of the kid at Florida in 2020. That was the 5th pick overall. The Falcons. What was it? Pitts. Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, yeah.
I'm not saying he's that good. He was the 4th player taken. Always have Matt over there to correct me. But
I'm surprised he's here.
The point I'm not saying he's going to be that. That's unfair to say, oh, you're going to be that. But I'm saying in that kind of mold, that kind of player, a tight end with wide receiver ability.
Yeah, he and I don't think this can be stressed enough. You said he had 22 catches his freshman year,
yeah.
Right? In the worst offense we've seen here in forever. That was the team that averaged 20 points a game, right? It was low.
Probably. Yeah.
And a team that went 5-7, and a team that lost to Appalachian State, and a team that just could not move the ball until the end of the year.
Yeah.
He had 9% of the total receiving yards gained in 2022.
Yeah. And he missed the first game. They didn't even throw at him. He got out there and they didn't even throw at him against Sam Houston that year. And then, like I said, he didn't play against Florida and he didn't play against Auburn. And they were just trying to figure some things out early. But I think he went out and he showed you what he could be at tight end as a freshman. Now, does he have to be better? Yeah. Is he going to be better? Yeah. I've said before, I think that there's a lot of positions right now that have the personnel that you can win with without, I don't have to question it.
Yeah.
And I think he's the reason I feel that way about tight end, the primary reason.
Well, and he's a willing blocker, right?
Yeah.
Again, his size, his speed, and I just think, sorry this matters to me, he's a good kid. My few encounters with him, he loves being an Aggie. He gets this university, and to me that matters, especially if you're really good.
Didn't he get married?
He did, and it was this offseason, right?
Yeah, I think so. So that could have a positive or negative effect. Hopefully it doesn't.
For a good Aggie, a positive effect.
But yeah, then you're more focused. Hopefully, you don't have you have your priorities in line. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He seems as that kind of dude for a while though. Like
yes,
as a freshman.
I like I said, he's one of the reasons I look at him as a threat. We talked about, yesterday we talked about the other tight end from Fresno,
Trey Watson.
And we talked about what and with McGee, what a tight end can do for you.
Yes.
You know, I love the idea that if you're having to worry about receivers and that you can get a mismatch because in the middle of the field, because I'll take what I saw from Donovan Green and that acceleration. I'll take him one-on-one against a linebacker or a safety, and I'm going to feel pretty good about the matchup.
Look, Jake had some really nice moments last year for A&M. Jake Johnson.
Yeah, he did.
Who's no longer here. Max Wright had some really nice moments for A&M. I'm not saying that Donovan Green in the lineup last year gives you another win, but it gives you another option. It gives you another versatile weapon.
And I'll say this. You remember some of those nice touchdowns that Jake made? You know, he came open, and I'm thinking one against LSU, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying if it was Donovan Green in the same play, there's probably not as much drama to get to the end zone. He probably gets there a little bit quicker than Jake. So
well, and he's one of the examples, and Trey Watson, everybody we've talked about so far, right? That at the end of the year we may look at it and be like, okay, they're a little higher.
Yeah.
Solomon DeShields was number 24, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Matthew?
Yeah.
Sound right?
23.
Solomon DeShields was 23. 24 was Mark Naboo.
Thank you. So Martin Naboo's been here, but 2 of the 4 that we've done so far have been transfers.
Right.
And where there's been good data points at another school in a different conference, but coming here, we could see that acceleration, and then Donovan Green being back, obviously, who we're focusing on here, is going to be great.
Again, I go back to the Arkansas game. I saw everything I need to see out of him as a tight end. A guy with such good hands that he can catch a ball, a clutch catch off of his shoe tops.
Yep.
Okay, and then a guy who can take a short pass and turn up and get upfield so fast that the defense doesn't have time to react to him. So he has acceleration and he has good hands. And you know what? Like you said, he's a good kid. I'm sure he's a hard worker.
All right, let's hit a break here. Let's talk about the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real with Rollo Insurance. I've been mentioning it earlier in the show. They're building our new studio. Jason and Jackson together just working. Keith is there. Morgan, they're all building it. They're working hard right now. Actually, they're taking a break because there's something going on in there. But that new studio is being built by our friends at Rollo Insurance. I'm kidding, obviously. But they are just the best insurance company around, right? And that means around the country. They are number one when it comes to being your place for homeowners, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, car, business owners. They are the top place to go for your insurance need because they want to simplify it for you and they find the right insurance that makes the most sense for you and your family. Their priorities are right in line with TexAgs, God, family, and country. They are the ones to go to when you need insurance, and you should go get a quote. Just find out what they can find you and compare it. And I think you're going to be very happy. The headquarters is on Highway 6 in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. Again, that is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. You strike me as a big Axl Rose guy.
I liked Guns N' Roses.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It is time to bank on something. There's not a lot of sports going on, OB, so we got to go deep in the well right now. Authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com.
Man, I'm banking on those Aggies winning medals in the Olympics. I'm not saying gold ones, but that some of those Aggies.
Some will be gold.
Yeah, I'm banking on it. That those Olympics, which open tomorrow, and run until my wife's birthday.
I'm banking on this. I'm banking on Dak Prescott not finishing his career at the Cowboys, but signing a new contract. And the reason I say that is because there's a quote out from the Daxter. Have you seen this Daxter
No, I haven't.
quote? He goes, I want to be here, but when you look up all the great quarterbacks I've watched played for other teams. So my point is saying is that it's not something to fear. That may be reality for me one day. It may not be my decision, so that's the freedom that I have.
So he's saying, look, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning.
All of them.
Somebody else.
Warren Moon.
Joe Montana.
Does Patrick Mahomes end up anywhere else? Aaron Rodgers.
Brett
Favre.
He's got a great point.
Favre went to two places when they thought he was done. Were you on,
even two. Yeah, you're right.
The Jets and then the
and
Vikings. Were you on Team Brett or Team Aaron when it first happened?
Actually, I think I was on Team Aaron, but only because I get it. You know the name Branch Rickey, right?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. He once, the great Dodgers general manager who signed Jackie Robinson. He once said, and there's so much truth to this, it's better to get rid of a player a year too early than a year too late.
Yes, and that's why you shouldn't allow fans to be the GM of a team, right? Because we all, I remember there's players that the Rockets have had that were just role players involved in big trade, and people were so mad, and but you got a better player because of it. As for Brett, I was happy to see him kick some butt with the Jets that next year.
I was too. I mean, he wasn't ready to go out to pasture, but if you got a guy that is ready to play, or you feel strongly about is ready to play, then it just makes sense.
A Hall of
Famer. It was like the Colts with Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
They didn't have much luck with Andrew.
He was good.
Yeah, but he wasn't as good as the predecessor. And then he decided he didn't want to play anymore.
And then I think most people would say Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Brett.
Yeah, but maybe not at that time.
Oh, definitely not at that time. Brett was, and remember when they first played against each other? I think it was a Monday night game or a Sunday night game, and Brett just carved up the Packers.
And they both have the same number of Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, but one went twice. One has only gone once.
I'm not so sure if I would have been on the Packers, if I'd have been on the move from Rodgers to Love.
Yeah, but with Aaron, you just don't know if he really wants to play because he sends these subliminal messages about playing.
And when you get over 40, if you're able to get something.
Stop. No.
As a quarterback.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant it just as a talk show host or as a workout athlete.
Yeah, me as a 60, almost 63.
You're in your 60s? I think you're like 47.
Well into them. Oh. Yeah. I was 47 once. I can faintly remember it.
By the way, thank you to Bank On It and Vera Bank. We made something out of nothing there. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Gerrod Chadwell is going to be here with Ryan Sirman. We'll chit-chat with him. Around Aggieland at 9:50. I think the rundown was wrong. That's on me, guys. We'll have Around Aggieland a little bit later. Ross Stripling on the program. Looking forward to chatting with him. He pitched yesterday. Got a win. And we'll have a Mizzou insider breaking down Missouri. All that and more. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hey, everybody. We're having a private conversation on the radio. TexAgs Radio. No, we weren't on. I'm just kidding. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. There was like eye contact. We were just, because Zane was in here. And
he's a big deal now,
He's
man.
like, I was with a few Aggies yesterday. I was at the kids' soccer practice. And they were talking about the whole moment. And I'm close. And I don't know if they realize what I do. And one of the dads did. And he's like, yeah, there's this reporter who got yelled at. And it was become a big thing. And I go, yeah, he works for us. Yeah, that's our guy.
I'll let you know if the girls start talking about him this year. If that'd probably go to an elite level.
Yeah.
If the girls start talking about Zane.
Well, hey, it's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Gerrod Chadwell is in studio. And we're going to introduce some new members of your staff.
Yeah.
But I have to tell a story. I just told it to him. I'm going to tell the story about it. All right. The other day, I'm walking my dogs. Okay. And I hear this car going 90. Okay, maybe 50 in the neighborhood. And my head turns around because I'm that Batman of the neighborhood. Because I stop people from driving fast. And I look, and I hear a honk, and it's Gerrod. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. And my kids were like, Dad, would you have gotten mad had that been not your friend? I said, yeah, I probably would have. You were in a rush.
Oh, man.
Did I embarrass you? I'm sorry.
No, my daughter would probably say that too. It's always a race to be the first one home.
Yes.
It's a very competitive household. So
I know that feeling. I do know that feeling.
Yeah, but that's life right now, as they probably attest to. It's life in the fast lane.
So I want to introduce, you got Ryan Sirman here in the house. He's a new coach. And Allison Howarth. Is that it right that time?
Yeah.
All right. They just joined the staff within the last month?
Yeah, well, last week was first week on the road for them.
Okay.
I think it's probably been a month since we got everybody in the boat, and it was a huge help getting them on the road last week to do recruiting the U.S. Girls Junior.
Yeah. So, Allison, what brings you to A&M? Tell us a little bit about your path here.
Yeah, I grew up San Antonio, Texas. Coached at Incarnate Word in San Antonio for 3 years, and then made it up to University of Iowa. Was there for 3 years and grew up here in San Antonio. So, it's always, how can you get back close to home? So this was a perfect opportunity. G's awesome, great coach. So blessed to be here and be back in Texas and coaching with these two. So
I bet your family and friends are pumped too.
Yeah, my mom cried, so that was that was a lot. So, but they're great. I mean, any chance you can, I don't know, get to be closer to them and spend more time and connect, it's good. So.
And if you guys can get a little closer to the mic for me, if you don't mind. Ryan, you guys have known each other for quite a while, right? This goes back to when you were an assistant at Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, we were literally just talking in the lobby. I actually coached Ryan's wife when I was at Oklahoma, and then Ryan was on the men's team there. So, yeah, we go back all the way to, that was my second job. After Redlands, I was an assistant at Oklahoma for 3 years, and Ryan was there, and his future wife at that time.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about it, because I know you played at a high level. You knew Gerrod from back in the day. Just talk about this relationship and how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a big sports junkie, I have an interesting story. So, grew up in Tyler, Texas. Okay. Grew up a diehard Texas Longhorn fan.
Sorry about that.
Yep. So we'll start there, and then end up going to Oklahoma and playing golf. So
you hate them.
Betrayed the family once, right? And then played there. Had a great career. Loved it. Got to meet G. That's kind of where our relationship started. Met my wife there. And actually, when G took the job at Houston, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, he let me move in, lived with him for about a year and a half there. He was a groomsman in my wedding. So, yeah, he someone I really look up to. He's a great mentor of mine, always has been. So the opportunity to hop on board and continue to build upon what he's got rolling down here is special.
Is this one of those situations where you kind of figured your paths would cross again at some point?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I always, deep down hoped it would, just because, I value who he is and I know what he stands for and the integrity he runs in his program. But seeing it actually come to fruition it's cool and special, and I'm excited to get going.
Gee, let's talk about, because this is big steps for you guys. This is a different staff.
Yeah, change is good in a lot of ways. What the girls have done for us the last 3 years, I mean, they've changed my life too. In a lot of ways, it was a big responsibility. Like we're really replacing our staff. So, we've had girls committed, and you're trying to get them familiar with them, and they obviously love them too. And so, I didn't take making these hires lightly. And through the process, there was a time that I had to start thinking about myself too, which is I don't do very often. So, you know, it was always a team first. And it's like, how can I find two people that complement me well and or complement my weaknesses? So, you know, as God has it, it's just the fact that we get these two talented people to be a part of our program. It really happened pretty quickly in all senses, unbeknownst to me. But it caught me it didn't catch me at a good time because we were rolling. But when you're rolling, things like that happen. And you know, Gio's going to do great things at the University of Arizona, but I'll miss her personally. You know, the program will miss her, but we replaced, you know, the staff with two great people that I'm really excited for that and a challenge and reinvigorated in a lot of ways too of going through this chapter with them.
That coaching tree, Gio getting, and I think I remember when you brought her on, you told me she was destined for greatness.
Yeah, it wasn't going to take long.
Yeah.
I got to see her last night, and it's just funny having the conversations that we had 3 years ago, just telling her stuff. And now, you know, I shared some things with them when they first got started. And Gio was like, man, you were right. Like, it's just, you know, I haven't slept well since then. You know, all this stuff's going on. You know, I never realized what you actually did. Because I told her being an assistant coach was one of the best jobs I ever had. Because you don't really take anything home with you. You have a great relationship with the kids. You get to recruit and develop, and those are the things that I love the most. But she's a very quick learner and a very hard worker, and so she'll get things going there really quick.
Allison and Ryan, I'll start off with Allison. Just both of your perspectives on all the work you have to do. Like, you have to build relationships. You have to go and develop chemistry with the athletes. Like, just kind of take me through all, and some of the things I'm probably not thinking about, moving and all the headaches.
Yeah, well, luckily I've kind of finished the headaches. I'm here full time now, so now it's just getting to know the players. I've gotten to kind of connect with a couple that are in town. That's been awesome. I think firstly it's just building relationships, you know, building trust with the girls, building trust with the staff. And then from there, we got to develop. We got to get these kids ready to compete and get excited about winning championships. And then it's kind of just a cycle, you know, develop, recruit. And then hopefully we've put them in a good position to make a living doing this if that's what they want, or, you know, set them up with some great people that'll help them excel, you know, after college. So, yeah.
Ryan?
Spoken like a good coach right there. So just to pretty much echo, I mean, I think our jobs, you know, anytime there's a coaching change within a program, like it's not easy on the kids. And like she said, you know, step one is to build relationships, to connect and build that trust, because without trust, you don't have anything. And so, you know, for us to get the most out of our kids, it's, you know, we want them to believe in us and trust that we're here to serve them and that we care about them, you know, as people and not only as players. And they're all different, you know, we're all wired differently. So just understanding how to motivate each and every kid individually starts with building that relationship.
And his endorsement with those athletes has to go a long, long way.
Absolutely. You know, it doesn't matter who you talk to, whether it's recruits, other coaches around the country, former or current players, everyone has amazing things to say about G. And so it's nice knowing that the current players, they're going to trust, you know, with who he brings in. So it helps us with a good starting point there.
How stressful has it been? Because, I mean,
you saw me driving 90 miles an hour.
I saw that. That's because you're trying to get that takeout there first.
I was.
But, like, for a program that has just been fantastic since you arrived, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure to keep that going and go beyond it.
For sure. And that's what, you know, it was, you know, there's never a good timing for me. It was a great timing for Gio, but you know, it was we've had a great run the last 3 years, and those seasons get really long. And I was looking for a little bit of downtime because I have a growing 5-year-old and a wife who's very busy. So I was looking forward to time with that, and I haven't got as much of that as I was hoping to this summer. But it's fine. It's what it is. But you know, I think you know, Ryan kind of hit on it. Is you know, we've promised, we've sold these young ladies on, you know, a great experience, being developed, you know, having a future after Texas A&M, and it's just something you don't take lightly, because your reputation actually precedes you, and it can go pretty bad for you on the recruiting trail. So, these hires were very important for the program, for us to keep going. And I've always wanted to be around developers of talent and just good-hearted people that really coach out of love and not fear of what this program could do on the other side of this. So we found two studs, and they're going to have their own opportunities from here. And if we're doing what we should be doing, that's going to happen probably sooner rather than later. So I'm excited for that.
Does it feel like 2 months since Adela brought home the trophy?
No. I've actually been with Adela a lot this summer, which has been a really cool thing. We were sitting in the office the other day, and she shared with us, she's like, man, I had no idea what professional golf was like. I played in the U.S. Open, played in Evian, made a championship. She's like, this past week of, spending 18 holes with Stacy and playing the practice round and seeing the relationship she has to have with her caddy, age, all this stuff. She's like, I really saw what professional golf was like. And so we've had a lot of great conversations. I'm excited for her impact on this team from a leadership standpoint, but I'm also excited just to still see there's room for growth in there, and she knows that. And there's not been a day that she hasn't been in the facility working since she got back home from Toledo. So that speaks for her.
So tell us a little bit about the squad this year. What's different? What's new? What's the same?
New is in a lot of ways. We graduated 3 young ladies who have impacted this program in a way that was really unimaginable when we were hired. But we graduate those 3, and we have a freshman that's playing in Canada right now that's had an amazing summer. But we also have, there's going to be some opportunities for some young ladies that have been knocking on the door that maybe have played almost every other tournament last year with Mia and Sky. And you got Lana, who's been close, and Lauren, who's made, leaps and bounds progress since she got here. So going to see some new faces, but I still think you're going to see a lot of the same results. I'm excited for the excitement that they have because with that, playing opportunities that they see now as made potential because there wasn't, because we were so seasoned, there comes a level of excitement that maybe we haven't had around the program in a while. So I think we're all ready for that.
Forgive me for not knowing how Iowa and Oklahoma did last year, but just knowing what this program has been doing and what's still ahead, just kind of take me through that thought process of joining this program at this time. Ryan, start us off.
Yeah, I mean, at Oklahoma, we had limited success, but I think as a coach and, we were both former players, like, we're competitive, and we've seen the monster that G has built here at A&M, and who doesn't want to be a part of that? And so, I think we're coming in, we're going to be coaching with love and find whatever way that we can serve this program to help us get that national championship.
Yeah, I mean, echo that. What we want to do as coaches is we want to make postseason. Yeah, we want to come home with the national championship trophy, every year. So, but it doesn't work like that. It works every day at practice. We've got to figure out how we can get better and how we can coach better. So, yeah, it's exciting. Just watching their run the last 3 years, we've seen nothing like that in college golf. To kind of come out of nowhere and then do it 3 years in a row to be successful at the national championship level. It's pretty impressive. So a lot of pressure, but with pressure, it's exciting. So I think we're ready for it and excited and want to help our girls be the best they can be. So it's a great place to be.
Gerrod, can you enjoy, I don't know, because I know you want to keep topping, right?
Yeah.
But it's also what you've built is a monster.
Yeah, not as much as I should, honestly. Yeah. But I've always been that way. Yeah. There'll be a time to reflect, but I don't see that anytime soon for me. It's just I love working. Yeah. This is not a job. So there'll be a time, but I probably will be done coaching at that time where I can actually look back and reflect on what has transpired here. But as I said earlier, those young ladies have changed my life. Yeah. It's sad to see them go, but they're not going very far because they know what this place can still do for them afterwards, and they're still reaching out because they're embarking on a professional career. But no, I should do it more, but I'm driving 90 miles an hour through the neighborhood. I don't have time to think about it.
It was 40.
Okay, 40.
47.
My daughter will drive her little battery-powered Jeep 90 miles an hour through the neighborhood now. So. No, but that's something they can hopefully learn from me, is that I need to do a better job about that.
Well, I was going to tell you, I can't see you retiring because I don't think you look at ever, because I don't think the way I know you, you don't look at it as a job per se. You're a relationship builder and a relationship keeper, right?
Yes.
Like that's how you roll.
Absolutely. You know, the landscape of college athletics is changing, and we've talked a little bit about it. Talked to Gio about it at length last night. Like, she's going through all this stuff at a different place. There's one thing that's going to happen is those young ladies are going to show up in August and they're going to need to be loved. And so that can't get here fast enough amongst all this craziness that's going on. But yes, I love what I do. I love people. So I think everybody sees that passion in me and when it comes around. But no, my wife won't let me retire anytime soon because there's not enough room for both of us in the house to be slowing down. So I'm ready.
He likes his shoes too much.
Yeah, you got the sneaker head. You got to keep paying those bills.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm excited I really am excited for this year and the challenges it's going to bring.
What's the timeline? Give me like what's going on here. Obviously, I know what you're doing tomorrow. You're
Heck
gonna be hanging out with us tomorrow.
We're gonna be talking more
Isn't
Aggies.
that
It's gonna be
a
really
great
cool.
idea?
It's a great idea. I look forward to that and just seeing other Aggies.
Let me sorry to interrupt. Buzz is interviewing a bunch of the coaches, and in fact, I feel like you started the idea. Did you and Buzz talk about this or something?
No, but
you and I had a convo, and then the next day, Buzz is like, "I want to host a moderation."
And you imagine they're gonna be good questions.
Yeah.
It's not just he's not gonna pull something out of a Laffy Taffy wrapper. It's gonna be something with some thought to it. And he's gonna do his research. I guarantee that. But I'm excited to see Aggies.
Yeah.
We've been on the road a lot this summer, and it's just funny. Like I was telling them on their first day recruiting, and I told Gio first day she was hired too. It's like, man, we're now the enemy. We took somebody's seat away at the table. So I'm tired of being on the road and everybody like having animosity towards what we've done. I'm ready to be around some people and talk about what we have done, and that'll help what you said. Just really reflect on what we have. But yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow.
Think about how different A&M athletics is in the last 6 months. From Elko taking over for Jimbo, we have Trev now here.
Yep.
We have Michael Early at baseball. There's been a lot of changes.
I was texting with Michael the other night. I was like, man, if you have any time, what's your schedule look like? He's like, no, I'll take some time next year. And as what you just asked me, I was like, man, take the time.
Yeah.
But it is a great time to be an Aggie.
Yeah.
The level of success that all these programs are having is due to a lot of those people that are going to be in the room tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of celebrating that, but also a lot of thank yous. So I'm excited for everybody's season coming up because it helps us.
Yeah.
That brand being out there, the story being out there, it helps us sell what we're doing. When you see women's golf doing well, men's golf, tennis, baseball, football, it's like, all right, what's in the water there?
Yeah.
So everybody wants to be a part of it. So we've got some exciting young ladies coming on campus this fall that I think they're going to have a great experience when they come for a visit.
Let me close out with this. So you're used to winning.
Mm-hmm.
You want to continue winning.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new roster, though, a little bit new. Can you continue what you've been doing?
For sure. I think, it's, in a lot of ways, I would say last year was a little disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't win as much, but we had our own challenges. It seemed like we were struggling to get first downs every time. Like it was like, it's one step forward, two steps back. And then next thing you know, all that experience, we play for an SEC title and we're in match play at the national championship. So I think each season's going to look different, but I'm a firm believer in the process, and how we start in August is not how we're going to end up in May. So whether that means bringing home a lot of trophies, that's great. That doesn't always define success. But I'm always a part of the process. And that I think that's something, if I look back on, I'd pride our teams in it, that we always play our best during the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just due to sticking to what we do best is just blue collar attitude. And we start work in August. And I know all three of us are excited to get to that day. We're ready to get off the road and get in front of these young ladies and help them get better.
Ryan and Allison, welcome. Thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Great seeing you. Great seeing you, brother.
Gig 'em, baby.
Gig 'em. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, so we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around the SEC next on TexAgs Radio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is hour number 2 of the program, and we got to get some SEC storylines here. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where we find Mateo Dawson. Matthew?
Well, Matt Rule was kind of throwing some shade at the SEC.
Tell me more, because I like Matt Rule, and I don't know if I'm going to have to get upset with him.
Well, it wasn't more necessarily the SEC. It was that he believes that the Big Ten is the best in premier conference in college football.
He has to say that.
And he said that it's most like the NFL in the sense that it is the premier league in college football. I know he has to say that, but does he have to say it like that? I mean, the SEC, if you want to look at the last 18 years, they've had more draft picks than any other conference in every single year in almost 2 decades. So, is it?
No,
is the Big Ten the most like the NFL?
Look, you can say that because they won the national championship with Michigan, right? And they didn't. Matt had nothing to do with that. But I understand, you have to defend your conference and your team and your program because you don't want that used against you with recruits. But the reality is, you're wrong. You're fired again. No, he's wrong. The proof is in the numbers. The proof is in the draft picks. The proof is in the national championships. The proof is in the profits. I know that the Big Ten got a bigger TV deal because they did it after the SEC. The SEC, I think, did theirs a little too early. All that being said, there's a reason everybody wants to go to the SEC. And there's a reason they have the most NFL picks because everybody wants to play in the SEC. And that's the bottom line. Mateo?
Yeah, a lot of the top watched games, and I understand, I guess, where he's coming from, in terms of money and media rights, a lot of the top watched games in college football actually did come from the Big Ten, but they really only include Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, I'm seeing from the SEC in the top watched college football games.
Tell me the teams.
So Ohio State, Michigan was number 1. Okay. And Georgia, Alabama in the SEC championship was 2. Colorado,
Hold on,
Oregon.
let's pause. So let's take these in parts. So you have Michigan and Ohio State, right? That was for a chance at going to the national championship, going to the playoffs.
The
and
Big Ten championship.
Big Ten championship.
That basically was the Big Ten championship,
right.
if you want to think about it that way.
It was. And then Alabama had a down year, and yet they were still in the playoffs. There wasn't a lot of intrigue around Alabama last year. Is that a fair assessment to say, especially the way they started?
Yeah, I would say less so.
Okay, and they still were number 2. Continue on, please.
So third was Colorado and Oregon. We know Deion gets his eyeballs on the television.
Yep.
And number 4 was Michigan versus Iowa in the Big Ten championship, the actual Big Ten championship game.
Okay.
Which I understand.
I don't remember watching that game.
I did.
No
It
interest.
It actually, Iowa kind of hung in there. Their defense played pretty lights out that game, not going to lie. But that's besides the point. 5 and 6 were dominated by Ohio State, Notre Dame, and then Penn State, Ohio State. And see, then after that, you basically get in the SEC where it's LSU, Florida State, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Alabama, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama, Alabama, Texas A&M, Missouri, Georgia, Georgia, Auburn, Georgia, Florida.
Alabama A&M game was good.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot more SEC teams' names now.
But the top 5 were more Big Ten. That's interesting. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, well, I think their media rights deal actually is larger in quantity. I think each school actually gets more money than each school in the SEC, but they also more recently made their media rights deal, I believe, and it's with more networks, and they have more teams. So, I mean, all food for thought. All
right. Anything else, bud?
Well, I did want to talk about the PitchCom being introduced in the SEC. The Southeastern Conference on Wednesday announced an agreement with PitchCom to provide technology for on-the-field communication between pitchers, catchers, and coaches for all 16 SEC baseball programs beginning with the 2025 season.
This is interesting.
This is very interesting.
I'm interested in that, huh?
Because there's a big talking point around football. What's the helmet communication going to do for the hurry-up offense? What are some of these people going to do? I know Jeff Levy was loving it at media days. He was talking about it in very high regards. In regards to football, I think in baseball, it's a little different story. I'm sure Brawny could break that down a little bit more for us.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the explosion of technology in sports. There's a part of me that says, hey, you got to use AI. You got to do this to keep up. This is the world we're in. And there's part of me that kind of liked it the way it used to be. The old-fashioned cheating. Anywho.
The old-fashioned cheating?
Yeah.
I know. Where are those garbage cans? Don't they know?
Why'd you got to bring that up, bro?
I'm just saying, why can't they be old fashioned? Just use a garbage can like they did
that
back
kind
in
of
the
old
day.
fashioned. I got you. Yeah.
Why can't they just do that?
Let me ask you a question. If you ever cheated on a test in high school,
did I ever cheat on a test?
No, don't answer it. But if you did, and they found out later, should they be able to take away that grade from you?
Well, they do. Well, if they find out after I've graduated, no, they shouldn't take away my degree. No.
Okay. Should they put an asterisk by your degree?
No, my degree still is my degree.
Okay. I
didn't say anything about an asterisk. I didn't say anything about an asterisk.
I didn't say anything about the asterisk either. I just asked a question.
Oh, you brought it up?
No, I just asked a question.
Okay.
I said old-fashioned cheating. It can mean many things.
Old-fashioned cheating. I mean, in school. Well, what did you do, David? Because you're obviously the cheater because you're trying to incriminate everyone here.
Okay, see, this is the second infraction you've had on the show today. First, you went work for 5 different departments, and now you are now on a temporary ban. Okay? Temporary ban!
Turning off my mic.
I think I just broke something in the studio. What is this? What is this situation here? Anywho. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we are going to talk the Chad Withrow of Outkick. I got some football to talk about. We're how many days away from the first game, Matt? Can you do the math?
We got 35. Did I do that right? Please. I got the numbers right here.
Is it that many days?
It's something like that.
Huh.
It's less. It's about a little bit more than a month.
A little bit more than a month. So we're gonna chit chat. Somebody's gonna be texting the show. Idiots do math. We'll talk to Chad about some storylines in SEC football and whatnot. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com, or you can just drive by, go back and forth there in Caldwell, Highway 21 in Caldwell. They have great deals on their website. When you go to their website, you're going to find the selection of vehicles that they have and get a kind of a feel for the pricing, the feel for the selection. And when you go there, you'll see 2 or 3 that, hey, I think I can afford this one. I like this one. You'll go there. You do the test drive. You're going to be like, all right, I like it, but let's talk business, brother. And the sales staff that's there is top notch. They're going to give you a great deal because I'm telling you they're going to give you a great deal because that's what they do, and a great trade-in value. And then you'll go through the process. You'll buy your vehicle, and you're like, but what about the customer service? Nuño tells me you guys have complimentary pickup and delivery. And they'll say, yes, we do. Where do you live? We got you. You need your oil change. You need some work done. We got you. That's the beauty there of Caldwell Country Chevrolet. 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Chad Withrow joining us here from Outkick to break down all things college football. Chad, good morning, buddy. How you been?
Doing well, David. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was hoping to see you at SEC Media Days, but I realized it wasn't your backyard this time.
Yeah, it was in your backyard this time. So because of that, we didn't go. We had some Outkick presence there, I know, with Trey Wallace, who was in attendance. I would have loved to have gone. I think we're just kind of holding back for when that event returns to Nashville or Atlanta, somewhere with a driving distance from us. But all things I heard about it was that it was a first event, per usual.
Hey, do you see yourself maybe doing a show from College Station this year?
I would love to, but that's not on the docket right now. I know we're going to do a couple things in Knoxville and maybe something in Tuscaloosa throughout the year, but I'd love to make it back to College Station at some point. That was one of those that was kind of a bucket list for me that I got to cross off the list. And clearly I'm good luck because, the one game I attended, Texas A&M beat Alabama. So I should return to Texas A&M for your sake, for sure.
I remember that's the first time I met you right here at the TexAgs parking lot. Let's talk about some teams that have something to prove in 2024. Let's look at a collection of teams in the SEC. Like a few teams, if you can, that you think, all right, you got to prove something this year.
I think that there's a number of ways, to look at this with who's going to prove it. And I'll start with Ole Miss. I really think if Ole Miss is going to make it to Atlanta at any point, I think this is the year. Schedule sets up nicely for them. It's difficult to get a good SEC schedule. They're all different degrees of really difficult. But for Ole Miss's sake, getting those big games at home, this is set up well with a veteran team with Jackson Dart at quarterback, with all the transfers that were brought in by Lane Kiffin. I really think Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, that they've got something to prove this year. On the other end of that, we all know about Billy Napier on the hot seat, but I think Sam Pittman is right when he talked about the heat of his seat in Fayetteville. And there's some proving to be done there. He went out and hired Bobby Petrino, which smacks of desperation, but also of, hey, I'm going to do whatever's necessary to try to fix this thing at Arkansas. So I applaud the move to bring back Petrino. They went all in on the quarterback transfer from Boise State. So this is a big proving year for Sam Pittman if he wants to continue being the coach at Arkansas.
Talking to Chad Withrow here on TexAgs Radio on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Chad, how about going back to Ole Miss for a minute? Is making the playoffs and Atlanta enough, or do you think they have to have, with the roster that they've put together, with the trajectory of this year, do you think they have to win a game in the playoffs?
No, I think making it in the playoff would be enough for Ole Miss. I really think that just accomplishing something that's never been done, obviously the first ever 12-team playoff, so everyone who makes it would be the first one to make it into that one, but they've never been in the 4-team playoff. They've never played in the national championship game. They've never been to Atlanta. So I think marking any of those things off the list for Ole Miss would be a successful season for them. So I don't think they have to win a game, but I will say it's a team and a roster set up where they could not only make the tournament, but really do some damage in the tournament. So I'm really curious to see Lane Kiffin this year, just lost his father, was very kind of somber, solemn at SEC Media Days. How does this team respond with a favorable schedule? But I think making it to Atlanta or the playoff would be enough for Ole Miss fans.
Chad, what about teams that have some grace, that have some times to establish a culture like A&M potentially, maybe adjusting to the new conference like Oklahoma? Who are some teams that have a little grace and time to establish an identity?
Yeah, I think A&M is one. Boy, that Notre Dame game is just so interesting because I think there's a lot of pressure on Marcus Freeman in that game, right? If you don't go to A&M and win in year 3, where you got a game better last year than the year before, there's a lot of expectations with Riley Leonard going up against his former head coach in Mike Elko. I'm fascinated by that game. And the pressure that's going to be on, there's an old saying in sports, it's getting late early. And that's what it's going to feel like for Notre Dame if they go to College Station and lose that game to A&M to start the season. But clearly, Mike Elko's got grace, this being his first season, and he's going to have some time to establish what he wants to do at A&M. And everything I hear about Mike shows that he's a ball coach. first and foremost, and he's not about anything else but ball. And that kind of reminds me of Josh Heupel in Knoxville. He's not a guy who's going to light it up with quotable quotes at SEC Media Days, but he's a football guy. He wants to play more football, and that's it. He's not going to give you much to work with the media. I think Mike Elko's got a lot of that with him, which is a good thing. And I would say also in terms of establishing culture and having some grace, I look at Mark Stoops in Kentucky, and I think that he's basically got a lifetime contract there. So it's not like he's going to be given grace. I think 7 or 8 wins is always going to be just fine for Kentucky fans, and he's going to consistently do that. He's shown that over time at Kentucky. And while they may never win huge there, I saw a stat that I think that he's 2-24 at Kentucky against SEC teams that finished with a winning record in the SEC in his time there. But that really doesn't matter because they're not trying to compete at the highest level of the conference. They're trying to win 7 or 8 games a year, and Mark Stoops is good for that. So I think he's got a lot of grace in Lexington.
Chad, you mentioned Notre Dame earlier, and while I agree with you, there's a lot of pressure there on Marcus Freeman. When you look at their schedule, man, I feel that they can stumble into the playoffs with who they're playing this year. I don't know if you've taken a look. Florida State obviously would be very difficult. They get them at home. They go to USC, but I still think Notre Dame's better than that. But it's, if they stumble against A&M, they still have a lot of time to make up for it.
They do. I just think of what it says.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it's going to be perception coming out of that game. I'm not burying them in their playoff chances if they go to A&M and lose. It's just, think of how big that'll be for Mike Elko.
Yep.
To come out of the gate swinging and get a gigantic top 10 win in your first game at home, and what that's going to do to excite that fan base and establish A&M as a contender. But on the flip side, just this is not A&M is not the top of the conference this year, right? So if you're Notre Dame and you want to be big bad Notre Dame and be thought of nationally as a powerhouse, well, going on the road to open the season, losing to a mid-tier SEC team in Texas A&M in game 1 of a new coach in his tenure there, that's not a great start for Marcus Freeman. So, look, they could go 11-1 and win every game after that, or maybe lose one more and still make the playoffs. But the perception is going to be reality about Notre Dame after that loss, and people are going to think they're pretenders.
100% agree with all that you just said. So let's talk about A&M, mid-tier SEC team as of right now, based on what they've done the last year, and a lot of not a lot of expectations because it is a half a new roster and a new staff. What do you think Aggie fans should be happy with? I'll tell you, it's not 8, but the reality behind that. What do you think they should be happy with?
Well, I really like the offensive coordinator, Colin Klein from Kansas State. I'm interested to see how he marries his quarterback run-heavy attack that he's had throughout his tenure with Connor Weigman, who's not, necessarily a runner. He's a good athlete, but not a run-first type guy. So I want to see how they marry that offense. But the excitement for me with A&M is you've got one of the best defensive minds in college football in Mike Elko as head coach. And if you can just get the offensive coordinator right and have a head coach of the offense, I don't think it's just an offensive coordinator job. I think the best marriages of great coach, especially when they're really proficient on one side of the ball or the other, is you need to hire someone on the other side that can be the head coach of that side of football. And if Klein can be that for A&M, I think they've got the coaching part of this thing figured out. And we know A&M has the resources to go and get really good players. And, of course, the fertile ground of Texas to go get recruits. So I think they're going to be fine with talent. But if they can get the coaching part of it figured out with a head coach of the offense, which I think Klein could be, then look out.
Chad, last thing for you. Look, I know that Nico comes in with all the accolades and the 5 stars, but sell me on him. Why are people so high on him, without really doing anything yet?
Well, he's kind of, he's almost like, I think about the Westworld robots, right? He's almost like a Westworld robot creation for Josh Heupel. I mean, if you ask Josh Heupel to list what he wants in a quarterback, it's Nico. I mean, it is long, twitchy, good runner, but wants to throw first. It's exactly what Nico is. I think George McIntyre, who's down the road from me at Brentwood Academy outside of Nashville, who's a 5-star quarterback committed for next year, he's the exact same. He's a 6'6" basketball player that's tall, lean, can run, very twitchy athlete. I think that's exactly what, Josh Heupel's looking for. And he impressed. I was skeptical that he was going to do much against that Iowa defense coming in cold and in his first start. But Tennessee wins 35-0. He showed off the running ability in the game. He had some really nice throws at times. They didn't ask a ton of him in the passing game in it, but I was really impressed with what I saw. And you could say this about pretty much every SEC team. If the starting quarterback goes down, they're in trouble, but especially at Tennessee, because behind Nico, they've got a former walk-on as a backup, and they got a 4-star freshman in Jake Berklander. So they need to keep him upright and healthy and not run him too much. But I think that Nico, at least physically, he's sort of God's gift to Josh Heupel's offense. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this season.
Chad, man, thanks for making time. Let's do it soon, all right?
All right, absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me. Always fun.
Take care. Chad Withrow here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. You can catch his work on Outkick. He does a great job. He's just awesome. So I appreciate his time here on the program. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. Before we do that, Milliken Reserve time. Farm-to-table community. You can find them in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by treading lightly and creating a sanctuary for family and for nature. They've got 2,600 acres of open space. They've got 30 miles of trails. They've got beautiful homes out there. And they want to connect families to nature and to each other. So when you go there, it's time just to be together, right? Enjoy the outdoors, be together, and be one as a family. They have a great network of trails, a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas. They're committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. You can find all the animals you want, white-tailed deers, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles there. When you go there, you can go hiking, you can go biking, you can go canoeing, equestrian trails, the evening yoga, the summer camps, the music festivals, the farmer market tours, and the farm tours. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website is millikenreserve.com. Go check it out. can't believe Kay wants to talk politics here on TexAgs Radio. Just kidding. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Around Aggieland, and that is presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. You should visit normandystatebank.com. And with that, it's time for Around Aggieland with Kay Naegeli.
To all the viewers out there who are big fishermen, David Nuño is now a part of the fishing community.
I've been part of the community for a couple months.
To go fishing. Oh, okay.
All right. My friend Randy has a pond that I go fishing with sometimes, right?
Nice.
And but I am bad.
You're not bad.
But you know what I like?
You have to learn.
What I like about it is
it's peaceful.
It's peaceful. You're in nature, and it's just a cool time to not do anything but do a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
but you can also be with your thoughts, but you're also focused on fishing. I can't even claim to be a big fisherman. I just come from my father and David Nuño went fishing this week. I believe you talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah. Good old Steve.
It was fun. I got a selfie from it. It was a pretty iconic selfie.
Yeah.
Matthew Dawson said he would recognize that phone case anywhere.
Is this a nerdy phone case?
It's so David.
No, it's like you just always have it on set, so I can immediately identify.
But can I tell you the why?
Sure.
All right.
It has everything, right?
Well, it does. If I lose it, it's over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like having stuff in my pockets. So, I don't like a wallet and keys and a cell phone.
Because that holds your keys?
No, but I'm just saying I'd like to minimize.
See, look, I have this little thing, and it just has all my cards. And look how little that is.
I think that might work better for me.
You have a lot of stuff in there.
But I have a lot of cards.
There.
Like I have my
Golly,
insurance.
you do have a lot of cards in there.
I got some credit cards.
You keep cash in there?
Costco. I don't have cash.
Right, type of guy that keeps your gift cards in your wallet as well.
No, right now I got business cards of people I promise I'll call that I'll never call.
Big little wallet.
Look, once
cash.
It is nice to have your phone, I guess, in your wallet in the same spot.
It is, but I just feel like this is so much more. I think you need to do a card cut down.
I do, but then I'm like, but I might need this credit card one day, or I might need this insurance card, or I might see.
You need your fishing license in there.
You know me have said the same word twice this week. I'll say that word off air later. Continue on, please.
Anyways, for those who are premium and varsity subscribers, reminder that we do have our TexAgs preseason kickoff this weekend. That is an event with a bunch of different head coaches. David Nuño will be hosting.
I screwed everybody last year, remember?
Didn't you have to leave?
I left for Real Madrid, Barcelona.
Nice. I was going to say Allie took over, right?
So I bought the tickets before our date was set.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the date was set, and I went to Brandon and Josh. I was like, I'm so sorry.
You can't leave early.
But my kids will leave me. They'll move out. Just go.
I can't betray my kids.
So I did the first hour, I think, 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then
you
over.
dipped. I'm really excited. It's always a great event, and we will have our pre-event hangout tonight at the Block T Bar at the Texas A&M
always a good time.
Conference Center. That is at 5:30. So come hang out. A bunch of TexAgs staff will be there. It's always an awesome event. Oh yeah, for sure. We have our own customized drinks for each person. I believe there will be a little drink menu, so it's a lot of fun. And then reminder, tomorrow preseason kickoff will begin at 11:30 or 11:50, and go till 4. I know we have.
Is it till 4?
It is till 4.
Holy smokes!
We got Elko, we have Buzz, we have a panel with a bunch of coaches. We'll have Coach Early. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know y'all spoke with him yesterday, but just a reminder, Ryan Prager announced his intentions to come back for the 2025 season after being a third-round selection. Evan Oschenbeck did not hear back from the NCAA, so he did sign with the Chicago Cubs. And then, if you have not seen already, there is a long list of all 24 Aggies competing in the Paris Olympics with times when they're competing, dates, everything you need to know. So that is your center to go to check on that. So that should be exciting.
Okay, great job.
Of course.
If you ever need some help with fishing, I got you, girl.
All right.
Anywho. All right. Why did I say anywho? Anywho's such not a thing. I say it, though. This is terrible.
It's kind of a...
Anyway, when we come back, Ross Stripling will be joining us here on TexAgs Radio. That's actually a big deal. We'll chit-chat with him here in a moment, and afterwards we'll get a Missouri insider's perspective on Missouri, a team that's coming to Kyle Field here this season. That and more is TexAgs Radio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So about 20 days ago, on July 5th, A&M's Letterman Association announced that 8 gentlemen and ladies, I should say, were going to be in the new Hall of Honor, Lifetime Achievement as well. And that class consists of a bunch of people that you know from this show and beyond. And one of those is our guest today here on TexAgs Radio. I'm just going to give you a little bit about his resume because you remember the great stuff that he did in 4 years at Aggieland. Part of one of the most feared pitching staffs in the nation, a 2-time All-American, was NCAA wins leader in 2011, run to the College World Series. He pitched just yesterday. Ross Stripling joining us here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Ross, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Hey, howdy, man. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So just first, let me ask you about yesterday. How did yesterday go? I know you were out for a little bit, and how are you feeling coming out of yesterday's win?
Feel good, man. Feel good. It's always frustrating coming back from an injury. I missed about 7 weeks with a small forearm strain. So it just feels good to be back out there on a big league mound, man. I needed to knock off some cobwebs at a tough second inning, but able to get out of it, and they let me in there to figure some stuff out. Ended up having a clean last couple innings and got a win. So, actually the A's, we're playing pretty good, man. We're hitting the ball really well right now. We got some young arms that are pitching where, I think we got a chance to kind of make some noise in the second half here and maybe go into the offseason, feeling good about where we're at.
I was going to say that over the weekend, they take care of business against the Astros. I think you've won 7 of 10, so the arrow's pointing up. How are the fans handling everything with all the changes and that are upcoming? How's that been?
Yeah, you can tell they're frustrated, man. Oakland's about to lose their last power sport, right? The Raiders have left. The Warriors are now over in San Francisco proper, and we're going, to Sacramento on our way to Las Vegas. So you can tell they're frustrated. They don't really take it out on us, which we appreciate. They know it's not our fault. And at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of, I'm the oldest guy on the team. We got a bunch of kids that are kind of in the big leagues for the first, maybe second year. So they're just trying to get their careers going, trying to play big league baseball and trying to kind of wipe out the noise a little bit. So the fans, I think, understand that. But, every game has a sell the team chant. If you follow on Twitter and stuff like that, you certainly see plenty of it and fans that are upset with the situation, but luckily they're not taking out on us. They're letting us just play baseball.
That is so weird to hear you say that you're the oldest guy on the team, because for those of us who watched you pitch, it felt like yesterday, but you are one of the team leaders, right?
Yeah, that's been fun, man. That's been a new role that I really haven't had. I was really lucky to have guys like Chase Utley, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Turner when I was young with the Dodgers. Really lead the way and kind of show me how to do it. And I'm doing the Clayton Kershaw method over here, which is really lead by example. I'm vocal when I have to be, and I've certainly made myself available to any young player that wants to pick my brain or ask me a question or whatever. But, really just kind of going about my business and trying to lead the kids by example. And it's hard to do when you miss 7 weeks with an injury, but at least still around the team and able to help out where I can. So that's been a fun role, something I've never really had to do before.
Kershaw still claims A&M, doesn't he?
Sort of. His wife's an Aggie, so she makes him do it, and I make him do it too. I think he knew all along he was never coming here, but I'm gonna make him be an Aggie for as long as I can.
How about the Hall of Fame honor? How cool was that to find out?
Man, really is so special. My grandfather was a head yell leader back in the 40s. I believe he buried the first Reveille right outside of Cal Field before she was even a collie. I think she was some kind of lab back then. And then my dad was at A&M in the 70s. My brother is older than me. He was at A&M. I foregone basically. I had essentially quit baseball. I didn't want to go play junior college. And I wanted to be an Aggie, and I was able to convince Rob Childress to let me walk on. And he was the one that ends up calling me to say that I made the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago. So kind of full circle and how special that was. But, really just I'm an Aggie through and through, man. I still live an hour down the road in Houston, come to as many games and come to College Station as much as I can. I have 2 sons that I certainly are going to push to Aggieland as hard as I can. So, it just, to have the Stripling name enshrined anywhere in Aggieland is pretty special. So something I'm definitely very proud of.
Ross, I want to follow that journey here too, because I think it's such a cool story for kids who maybe when they're 18, 19, 20, they haven't really realized their full potential, that if you stay with your dream, look, you're still in the big leagues. Like, talk a little bit about that, like staying true to yourself and to your dreams.
Sure. The one thing I definitely am passionate about is I do think kids should play any sport they are passionate about, right? I played football, basketball, and baseball. It was why I was a late bloomer to baseball. I didn't throw a pitch until I was 18 years old because I broke my leg playing basketball. So, one of those really everything happens for a reason kind of thing. And I find myself walking on to A&M, and man, I am green to pitching. I threw like 70 innings in high school. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just tell Rob Childress, like, man, teach me, show me the way, show me what I need to do. I had this big curveball, this funky slot over the top that I still have, and it's probably my biggest strength. And, I was coachable, and I listened, and I just, kind of what you're asking, I knew that if I got bigger and stronger and just perfected my craft and listened to people that knew what they were doing, as far as guys that were on the team that had some success, talking Brooks Raley, Clayton Ellert, Barrett Laux, and then obviously the good coaching that we had at A&M. I just got better as I logged reps, and it really is a cool story, man. Like a walk on to what you said, a 2-time All-American, drafted as a junior. Similar to what Prager just did, you feel like you have unfinished business, so you come back for another year. We fell short in 2012, but still had another really fun run at Omaha, and then get drafted to an awesome situation in LA, and the rest is history, man. So here we are.
What do you think you would have said had somebody told you, hey, you do this, you're going to be in the big leagues in 2024?
I would have said you're joking, man. I really wish I could, you guys could like pull up a picture of what I looked like my freshman year in college. I was probably 6'2", 160 pounds, just a total string bean, not strong. I was throwing probably 85, 86 miles an hour, but, worked hard, man, and made that my dream, and made that the destination, and worked as hard as I could to get there. And here I am at 34 years old, 12, 13 years removed from Texas A&M even, and still playing a kid's game for a living, and just how special that is. So it's, I would have told that person, you're silly, but all the while working really hard behind the scenes to make it happen.
Well, let me ask you about Ryan Prager, because it's such a similar story. Just first off, what do you think it means for this team? And secondly, just you know exactly what he was going through, like trying to figure out to navigate what's the most important thing for his future.
Yeah, man. Obviously very excited to have him back. I was able to be around him and his family a little bit during the Stanford Regional 2 seasons ago. And you can just tell he's a good kid, comes from a good family, and really passionate about baseball. Obviously, he was our Friday guy all year, and just was so special for us. So to get that arm back, along with all the bats that we got back, is so huge, right? Because pitching still wins games. You can slug your way to Omaha. We kind of showed that, but at the end of the day, pitching, you got to have it. So to have a guy like that back is a huge deal. I'm sure that was a really tough decision. He turned down probably almost 7 figures, if I were to guess. I think that was the slot value of that pick. I turned down much less than that. It was a pretty easier decision from a money standpoint. I do think the quicker you can get into pro ball, the better. So I know that was probably a tough decision as far as, the next step for him in his baseball career. But to have him back in the Maroon is going to be huge. And you can tell we're going to be a powerhouse going into our next season.
Yeah, and while I agree with you, I also think college baseball is in kind of a different place now, right? Because the shortened draft, and you got some great players to stick around for a little bit longer, especially because of the COVID year and whatnot. It's just a different college baseball, college athletics world that you played in.
Well, it's so competitive, right? And then the NIL thing obviously throws a wrinkle into it, and some of these numbers start coming out and leaking of what these kids are getting to go to certain schools, A&M included. But the other thing I think you see is, for instance, we're playing the Angels right now. We got the shortstop Nito and the first baseman Shano. I'm not sure how you actually said they were drafted in 2022, and Shano made the big leagues in 2023, and Nito's been in the big leagues all year this year. And we just called up our first rounder last year, a kid out of Grand Canyon named Jacob Wilson. So it's not unheard of now to move really quickly through the minor leagues. So when I say it is important to get into professional baseball as quickly as you can, maybe I'm a little off on that, because I feel like teams, right, we've shrunk the minor leagues. There's not as many levels, not as many kids. So if you come in and you look ready and you're developing quickly, they'll move you as quick as you can. So, maybe it makes sense to stay in college baseball where it's so competitive, and get into pro ball and move fast and find yourself in the big leagues within a year or two of getting drafted.
Ross, I know you're obviously focused on your career, but the last 32 days have been ridiculous for Texas A&M athletics and baseball in particular. Take me through that kind of roller coaster ride from your perspective as you're watching games, you're seeing the news break, the ups and the downs, the lefts and the rights.
Yeah, I'm in a fantasy football league with some of the players from my time, Daniel Mingden, Ross Hales, Matt Yingle, Kenny Jackson, etc. So we were up on the season as much as we could be. Really enjoying. I mean, that was the greatest season that A&M baseball's ever had. So obviously we were watching and enjoying it. And, we had 3 kids hit like 25 homers or more, so it just felt like we could beat anybody any night and had just enough pitching to keep us in it. And we had Prager, obviously, and then the reliever that got drafted, I'm blanking on his name, throwing 102 mile-an-hour
Evan
sinkers in
Oshtenbeck.
college. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Chris Cortez, I'm sorry. Chris Cortez.
Cortez, yeah. We were watching and, just takes us back to when we were making runs at Omaha and just, knowing how special it was for those kids. And then to not be able to celebrate it, right, because of the madness that ensued over the next 36 hours after the championship loss. And, without getting into it too much, I screamed it from the rooftops that Schlossnagle was never an Aggie. And I think he showed that at the end. That is more than enough to make me happy, to be honest. His reputation preceded him. And I'm just really happy now we got the guy that we want, and he feels like he wants to be in Aggieland. He's an Aggie through and through. He's the one the players wanted. I feel bad that they weren't able to celebrate such an awesome season, but then now, a few weeks removed from that madness, it feels like we're just laser focused on Aggie baseball and the team that we have and the team that we're able to put together, and how excited everyone is for the next season. It's a mile away, but we're already so excited for it, knowing the roster that we have and the head guy at Early, for him to, steer the ship in the right direction for us.
Was that weird for you, that being such a Rob guy, and then a coach who had success against A&M takes over and has a lot of success, but then shows his true colors?
I'm not going to say it's weird. I think obviously I'm a Rob Childress guy. The only reason I'm here is because of him and the opportunity he gave me and the coaching that he instilled upon me. But I don't necessarily disagree that his era at Texas A&M came to an end. I hate that his last year was his worst year, and this is a competitive league and expectations are really high, and they moved on. And honestly, Schlossnagle's an amazing coach. We went to Omaha 2 out of 3 years. I just think when you're the coach at Texas A&M University, you got to buy into the stuff that we do, as weird as some of it is. And I always thought Schlossnagle came across like he's too cool for it. And I feel like he really showed that at the end. So I love the idea of now getting Early, a guy that the players really love, and he's going to have to learn how to balance that, right? There's a big difference between being the hitting coach and being everyone's buddy to being the guy that's taking and giving scholarships, taking and giving playing time, making the lineup every night. But he seems like he's got the character and the skill set for it. And, I'm excited. I haven't met him yet. I'm excited to be around the program this offseason and come check it out. But no, I wouldn't say it was weird. I would just say it was a 3-year gap of going from a coach that I love to now a coach that I hope to love again.
Yeah. Let's talk about Early in a different way, too. The fact that the players love him, give that hope of another run, right? Because not pretty much everybody's coming back, and they've added. So he's walking into a phenomenal situation.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, it really couldn't be a better situation, right? You think of like the coach that inherited Ohio State after Urban Meyer left, or it's that kind of metaphor where it's a juggernaut team where we're returning such an amazing lineup, including adding that kid from Texas Tech that was like second in the transfer portal. We somehow got Prager back when he, should be starting his ascent to the major leagues. We got him back to pitch Fridays for us. And yeah, you can't inherit a better situation. So expectations are high, but that's part of it, man. You're in the SEC and you're playing and you're now coaching a team that was runner-up for national championship. So expectations should be high, and we're Aggies. We always expect big things, whether they happen for us or not. We expect to be in the mix, especially on a national stage, and we have been in baseball for the last couple of years, and we expect to be moving forward. So really couldn't be more excited for him and this job that he has to undertake and see what he can do with it.
So a new direction for Aggie baseball and a new direction for Aggie football. I know you like the football team. Just some thoughts on what Coach Elko's been able to do.
Yeah, man, awesome. Kind of what we were just talking about, like just an Aggie, right? I love every time he speaks. I love that he flew to Omaha to support the baseball team. I love just kind of what you see from him as far as just being the head of a major football program and all that entails. And I got to say, I hate that we're favored in every game. That just feels like it's just setting us up for disaster, right? But it's a winnable schedule, a really good and winnable road schedule specifically, seems like. And, we get Texas, which is the game I was raised on, going to UT A&M on Thanksgiving Day as a kid. So, excited to see that game back. So it can't get here soon enough, man. We're all fired up for the football season for sure.
Ross, last thing for you. Growing up basically an Aggie, right? Going to the games, being around the culture with your family, all having this Aggie history. Tell me your love for A&M, but also because you lived it, right? It's one thing to grow up in it, but then you also charted your own course.
Yeah, exactly. The coolest story, and I told this the other day on a podcast with Will Johnson, if anyone heard it. I was supposed to graduate the day of my last start at Olsen Field. So you think of all these cool accolades that I've had through 4 years at A&M, and we're about to go into the playoffs, and I'm supposed to walk the stage on Saturday. So I go to Coach Childress and I say, hey, my whole family's in town. Can I pitch on Friday so I can walk the stage Saturday? And me and Michael walk a flip. And he says, no, we're going into regionals. I got to keep you guys on schedule in the order that you're in. So I'm like, man, this is a bummer. Like, I don't get to walk the stage. My whole family's coming in from all over the country. And instead, I actually throw a no-hitter my last regular season start in Olsen Field in front of 30 family members that were in town to watch me get my diploma. And you just kind of can't put an exclamation mark on a career better than that, right? I mean, that's so amazing to think of how many Aggies are in my family that were there to watch me graduate as an Aggie, instead got to watch me throw a no-hitter my last regular season start. So it just, I remember walking outside after that and multiple family members just have tears down their eyes. So it just kind of shows you how important Aggieland is to the Stripling family, and just how kind of cool of an experience and amazing of an experience really that I got to have being a part of that community, and now moving forward forever as a member of the Hall of Fame. So just, I said it at the top of the show, it really couldn't mean more to me and my family, and I really couldn't be more proud of it personally.
To hear you say that story that I knew, it's awesome. And if I remember correctly, it was San Diego State, right?
It was, yeah, which is a total random game, right? Like, it wasn't it was the last series of the year, but it wasn't a Big 12 series. It just one of those, perfect situations that just kind of fell into my hand, right? It's amazing.
And to follow that up, I feel, and my memory is a little hazy, but wasn't your first start in the big leagues an almost no-hitter? Like, you went 7 innings basically?
Yeah, I went 7 1/3, no hit in the rain as a Dodger in San Francisco. I walk Angel Pagan on my 100th pitch, and out comes Dave Roberts, who's getting booed for taking out a rookie in a visiting stadium because, I was 5 outs away from a no-hitter. And then lo and behold, the guy they bring in gives up a home run. So actually, I go 7 1/3, no hit, 1 run in my major league debut. So yeah, kind of crazy.
Oh man. Hey, Ross, I appreciate it. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. Thank you for making time. Congratulations on the Hall, and obviously all your success there on the diamond.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Ross Stripling there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Great stuff. Love hearing his perspective on Rob Childress, his story leaving, walking off as a no-no at Olsen. That's cool. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with an open segment. Get to your text messages and your phone calls, 979-693-1150. We're talking Costa Vida. I'm going to see Holly tomorrow at preseason kickoff. If you see her, go give her a high five or a hug and tell her how much you love the quesadillas. Because I'm sure you've tried them by now, right? If you haven't, you're missing out. Or maybe you've tried the breakfast tacos, or maybe the tortilla soup, or the raspberry chipotle salad, whatever. Like, they have so many awesome options when you go to Costa Vida. Fresh Mex done the right way, where every ingredient matters. They're always around, right? Any Aggie athletic event, you'll see Holly and the crew over there helping out with food or just cheering the teams on. That's how they roll. They love Aggie baseball. They love Aggie football. They love Aggie basketball. You name it, they take care of Aggies. They're awesome. They're in South College Station, Aggie owned and operated. 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Was that good? Good accent? Good, bad?
That was good.
Was it?
What
did it sound like?
I'll entertain you.
No, you can just tell the truth. Nick, was it good?
You're gonna let the guy from Chicago tell you that that your Southern accent was good?
Was it Southern?
That's what you're going. You're trying to sound like Alan Jackson there.
Nobody can sound.
Hey,
like
my
Alan
dad's
Jackson.
from Alabama. He's from deep South. So,
Yeah.
look,
I give Matthew a hard time from being from up north. It's all out of love.
Is Matthew also a slider off the monitor? Because I feel like half his shoulder's always cut off.
Everyone at Social Center is a slider off the monitor. I had to tell him in his ear earlier today to scoot over.
How did you do that? How'd
Now
you
you're
split
too
this?
close to the
Oh,
graphic,
gosh,
dude.
Matthew Dawson.
Check it out.
Golly,
Okay,
there
that
we go.
seemed weird, what I just saw you do right there. That just seemed inappropriate for television standards. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So it looks like you're wearing kind of a tee. Is that like a, what color is that you're wearing, Matthew?
Kind of like a teal.
Teal, like a Miami Dolphins look to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great time to segue to Miami Dolphins talk here on TexAgs Radio. Not because I care about the Dolphins, but I do care about Devon Achane. It's still hard for me to say it. Achane, right? That's how he says it?
I think it is.
I don't
yeah.
mean it by any disrespect.
I think
I
he
just, my
corrected
brain goes straight to Achane.
Mine does too.
Yeah, like it is. So there was a tweet that caught my attention yesterday, and the reason it caught my attention is because it talked about Devon's expanded role. And then when you listen to the soundbite, and we're going to play it here in a moment, I don't really get that from it, but I still think it's worth listening. And he's the same Devon that we had here at A&M. Just give him the ball, he can run. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can do so many different things. He was on his way to a 1,000-yard season if he didn't get hurt. I mean, he was amazing in his limited time. So let's listen to Devon as he's getting ready for the upcoming football season.
I feel like, you always want to get better. It's a goal for me. I always want to be better than I did last year. So, I mean, I had like you said, good season last year, so I expect this year to be even better.
Are you doing who's the fastest competition again with everyone?
No, I ain't doing it anymore.
Devon, yesterday Raheem said he wants to be incorporated a bit more in the passing game. Is that something that you would like as well?
Yeah, like you said, when you feel like you have that capability to do everything, as far as like running the ball, go out there and catch the ball, I feel like you want that's the type of stuff that you like to do. So I'm pretty sure like I stand by him with that as far as like us going out there and running routes and catch the ball.
A lot of your teammates.
All right, that's Devon Achane. That's iconic smile of his. He's just such a nice young man. Here are some of his numbers from his rookie year. And by the way, I thought I was going to be sneaky. Nobody likes fantasy football talk on the radio. At least I don't. I don't care about your team. You don't care about my team. But I tried so hard to draft Devon, like early but late kind of strategy, and I missed out. But last year, 100 rushes for 800 yards. His actual 103 carries, for 800 yards. He had 197 receiving yards, and he had 11 touchdowns. So close to 1,000 yards. So phenomenal numbers in his rookie season. We'll see what kind of numbers he puts up here in his second year, but he's going to be a big part of what they do offensively for sure. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, and we have the Miami Dolphin himself who loves the Chicago Bears, Matthew Dawson. Mr. Dawson, what do you have for us?
Well, actually, real quickly on that point, I like my Twitter feed is full of like weird like NFL graphs and stuff like that, and Devon Achane, when it comes to like explosive runs, like he actually breaks every single chart there is. Like I know his sample size wasn't as great as some of the other guys, but he actually legitimately breaks every single chart. Like it's all clumped together in one spot in that bottom left hand, and then all of a sudden, boom, that's him right up there. And I know I just got in the way of that Social Center graphic there, but anyways, I did want to talk about Ra Thomas, wide receiver for Georgia, just got arrested. Another player for Georgia getting arrested.
What did he do? Don't tell me something to do with driving.
It was had to do with assault on family members.
On a family member.
It included children. Not really good. Not looking good for Ra
Do we have
Thomas.
details?
Not a ton of them at this time. I think it was 2 accounts of battery and then 1 account of child. I don't know.
Endangerment.
I don't know what the term is. I don't want to say falsely what it was, but that's not good. I mean, some people, I saw someone on Twitter, so I don't want to take credit for this, but someone was saying, are the Georgia parole dogs the new parole tide?
Oh, man. That's but so do we know how many people have been arrested this offseason?
I got the charge real quick just to be exact on it. 2 counts of battery and 1 count of cruelty to a child, so a little bit more serious than reckless driving.
Georgia's got a problem. They do have a problem. And unfortunately, this happens off. It didn't really happen to Nick Saban's teams, right? I'm trying to think. I don't remember that much legal issues.
I mean, I think it happened to more people that left to the NFL. In the NFL, like Reuben Foster, I think was charged for murder. Henry Ruggs did his thing. There's been a couple instances for Alabama, but I think more of the big ones came like in the NFL.
Yeah. But like, I know Miami, in their day, they had some issues. Other programs have had their issues. Georgia's in the middle of it. Like, I understand it's all about winning. Hopefully you can win with class, right? With the right group of players. But there's a problem going on. There's no, and again, with NIL, it's going to be really hard to reel in people. It's going to be really hard.
Sorry, domestic violence. It was not murder with Reuben Foster. That is a huge difference.
Oh my gosh,
that is a
Dawson.
huge difference.
Because when you said that, it took
I was
me
thinking
a
about
moment,
I was thinking about a different linebacker that maybe had something to do with, a different murder. Not an A&M guy. Miami Hurricane.
Oh yeah.
Baltimore Raven.
Yep.
So
anyway,
got confused.
Georgia's got to figure it out. Kirby, it goes to the head coach, right? The head coach establishes the culture. Doesn't mean that he condones bad behavior, but there's got to be, the head coach is the one who has to set the tone, set the expectations and the standard. And as good as he is on the field, they're having some issues this offseason for sure. And this is not the only offseason. This is two back-to-back offseasons of some serious issues here. All right, when we come back, let's learn a little bit about Missouri. I'm trying to get a feel for them because I got my doubts, right? I have my doubts because they lost. I think they had more players drafted in the NFL than Georgia did on the defense, right? And they lost their defensive coordinator. But their schedule is so easy. So we'll get an insider's perspective, and we'll break it all down here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. One of the better teams coming to Kyle Field. There's a lot of good teams coming to Kyle Field. It's Missouri, obviously coming off a fantastic season and expected to do great things again this year and expected to make the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes there at Kyle Field in the middle of the season. But let's go right now to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Nate Edwards, who's a Mizzou insider for Rock Nation, joining us here on the program. Nate, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Doing good, David. Thanks for having me back. It's been a couple of years. Enjoy the show. I'm glad we get to talk football again and get our guys to get together again. That's fun.
Yeah, so completely different place. The last time we spoke, Missouri was awful. And like that game, I think Missouri, if I remember correctly, I don't want to say made it interesting in the fourth quarter, but A&M had a chance to destroy them. Things have really changed for both programs since then. So what has Drink done to really get them on the right path?
Yeah. Number one starts with recruiting. When we played in 21, that was the leftovers of Barry Odom and just the beginning of what Eli Drinkwitz could do on the recruiting trail. A lot of what he was deploying at that point were former Odom recruits and a couple of transfers in. He did not have the guys that he wanted to run his system. And after over a couple of years, he finally has those guys. Now, the recruiting has been hit or miss. Obviously, those post-COVID recruiting classes were very hit or miss as far as, analysis goes of what they could actually do based off of limited high school tape. But what they did really well was nail it in the transfer portal. He has been able to find guys who could not see the field at Oregon and Ohio State and bring them into Columbia and deploy them into a defense and an offense where they can utilize their talents and maximize what that is. So it is an overhauled roster. It is way more talented than what you guys saw a couple years ago. And not only that, but he has an identity to work with. On defense, it is attack, havoc, blitz as much as you possibly can. On offense, he brought in Kirby Moore. It is still a lot of running back focused stuff that he likes, but it's a guy who's creative in how he deploys those running backs and can get the ball to slot receivers to make that noise, and it's particularly Luther Burden, who had 1,000 yards last year. So it's a fully focused program that what Eli Drinkwitz was, and what you saw last time was just the beginnings of what that team could be.
I know at SEC Media Days, people had their opinions. I have my opinion, so I ask you, what are your opinions on that schedule?
Oh, it's sharp and soft, baby, and I love every second of it. You all got a tough schedule. I mean, it's the SEC. Every schedule is hard. You can't escape an Alabama or an LSU or anything like that. But if you had to play the four worst teams in the conference, that's always good. And I think Missouri got just about the four worst you could possibly get. And they're going to get them next year since we're just running this schedule back on repeat. The big thing is the non-conference, right? You can talk about your SEC schedule, but your wins are going to be coming in the non-con. And the fact that, you have your FCS, Murray State, you have Buffalo, you have a BC team that is restarting with Bill O'Brien of all people. Like that is something that is very manageable. And yes, you do have to go to UMass for whatever reason, but UMass is one of the worst college football programs in the world. You'd like to think you can manage that. So your non-con is incredibly manageable. You play the four worst teams in the SEC. And while you do have to play Oklahoma, you do have to play A&M, you do have to play Alabama. Boy, it's a great year to play Alabama, and we get Oklahoma at home. So it is great. It is soft, and I don't care what anyone else says because I love multiple wins. I love 10 wins, and I think this schedule gets us there.
Yeah, well, so if it's 10-2, like if it's not 10-2, is that a horrible year based on the expectations? Like if you don't win at least 10 games with that schedule and the expectations, was it a bad year?
I think it would be disappointing. 9-10 is kind of what people are thinking going in. If he doesn't get there, yeah, I think people are going to be disappointed. Is that a fireable offense? No, absolutely not. Eli Drinkwitz is a made man. He was hired by the board. He wasn't even hired by the athletic director, who's no longer here. He gets anything that he wants. He's got the state Congress in his pocket. He has got everything that he wants. And this board, the Board of Curators, which are the ultimate decision makers, are 100% behind him. I don't think 9 wins with a cake-soft schedule is going to get him fired. It might perk some ears up. You might say, okay, hey, let's make sure we're still doing this. But he is recruiting at an elite level that we have never seen in Columbia before. We just came off of an 11-win season. You like to think you can make it to the playoff here. It would be disappointing if he didn't, but I think he'd still be safe.
Where's their potential first loss? I think I know the answer, but I'm just curious.
I mean, it's A&M.
Yeah.
Now that's my opinion, and obviously that's something that you guys are going to like to hear. But you guys scare the hell out of me. Mike Elko is a coach that I love. I think he's great. I think he's exactly what you guys need. I think he could bring a defense first, second, and third perspective to the SEC that has been lacking for the past couple of years, and be that zig to the rest of the conference's zag, and just be that landing spot for elite defensive talent with opportunistic offense, and somebody who can build a program, shake the hands, bring in the money, make sure things are being done in the right way, instead of a dude who's making $11 billion and just completely checked out. A&M is not a talent issue ever. It's always a coaching issue, and you have the right coach. So everyone's going to overlook A&M, I feel like, because it's going to be a first-year rebuild, and everyone's going to think you all suck. But going on the road, even though Mizzou has had success in College Station in the past, that is the past. This one is going to be the scary one. If we can pull out a win, I'm going to feel like 10-11's on the road, but I'm not going to believe it until we get double zeros on the clock.
Let me ask you about the defense, because Missouri, I think if I had this stat correctly, more people drafted off Missouri's defense than Georgia's defense last year. I think it was 5, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
So tell me about Missouri's defense this year. 5 guys gone, different defensive coordinator. Blake Baker left for LSU. So what can we expect defensively?
It's going to be really interesting. I mean, you still have Johnny Walker on the edge. He had a breakout season last year with 10.5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. But what's on the other side? We had Darius Robinson, who was a converted in from tackle. And we're going to look for Joe Moore or Michigan State transfer Zion Young to step up, possibly Georgia's transfer Darius Smith, and of course, all-world freshman Williams Nwaneri. If he's ready, he can get deployed. But really, the big concern is going to be the defensive back, because linebackers, we return our backups who were actually playing for most of the end of last year, but we lose 2 corners and a safety to the NFL. We return our free safety in Joseph Charleston, but when you look at a defense, the success almost always is tied to experience in the secondary. And we have a Toriano Pride from Clemson who is highly rated, but he's in his 3rd year. We have Drayden Norwood who comes back. But so much of what Mizzou was successful with last year was because they had Chris Abrams-Drain and they had Ennis Rakestraw who could lock down the corners, and they did not really rotate out all that much. Not only that, but you had an NFL caliber safety and 2 other safeties there who could kind of freelance off of him. Really, it's going to come down to corners, and we just don't know what Toriano Pride or Drayden Norwood could do in extended looks. From the safety standpoint, we have freshmen or a couple seniors that might step up, but we're looking at a 4-star freshman who might be taking over for Jalen Carlisle. That concerns me. A lot of what Blake Baker liked to do was send the house, create havoc, especially with the safeties, and we still have Dalen Carnell. But that lack of experience as far as coverage goes could really open up Mizzou for some big plays. And we just don't know what that's going to look like with these guys and what the backups can do. And if they can't hold like they did last year, that could be a big concern for this defense going forward.
Nate, help me understand what LSU got with Blake Baker, and can he turn that defense into something? Is it is it his ability to be a coordinator, or was it really more about some of those pieces that are now in the NFL, or a combination of the two?
I mean, I think like with everything, it's a little bit of a combination. The thing with Blake is that he inherited kind of a mess that Steve Wilkes left after the 21 season. And he took those pieces and he's like, okay, well, we can't get pressure with 4, so we're going to send 6 every single time. So he's very adaptable, and what he really thrives with is when he's got depth. If he can rotate guys in and out and just make them go hair on fire as hard as they can, and then rotate guys out and put somebody else in who's just as good, then he's going to be in a situation where he doesn't have to be too creative. He can just kind of send the house or react to what an offense is doing. He likes to, as with every decent defensive corner, he wants to get pressure with 4, but he will always send more if he has to. And that's what he had to do at Mizzou, because our line was not always in a position where it could create havoc on its own. So really, I think when he goes to LSU, it depends on what he sees. Obviously, you have a young linebacker who was an incredible edge rusher and a terrible linebacker. What do you do with Harold Perkins? What do you do with the secondary was almost all FCS transfers who could not cover anybody? I think he's going to bring competence to that unit, but it's going to look, if he can't get pressure with 4, then he's just going to hair on fire blitz all the time to cover up for any kind of inefficiencies that he sees on his roster. If you see them rushing 4, he feels good about what he has. If you see him rushing 6, then he knows that he cannot stop you conventionally, and he's going to be unconventional in trying to stop you. And I think that's what it's going to be at LSU. They have freak athletes, but can they buy into the system? I think Blake Baker can do it. It's just a question of whether the players can respond in kind.
When we talk about the different tiers of quarterbacks, where do you put Brady Cook in the SEC? Is he in your top 4? Is he in the middle? Where do you put Brady Cook?
I mean, he's certainly not in the top 3. And I've seen people say that he's going to be the best quarterback in the SEC, and that's great. I love that. I don't agree. I think the best thing about Brady Cook is that he knows this offense incredibly well. He is probably maxed out, which means he's a tremendous college quarterback. What does that mean for the NFL? I don't care. Missouri doesn't play in the NFL. He knows these receivers really well. He knows this system really well. He is mobile enough to keep plays alive. I'm not going to put him top tier. He's not a Quinn Ewers. He's not a Jalen Milroe. He's not going to be changing the game like that. He has incredible weapons, and he has a good mastery of the system. I'd put him in the second tier probably. Not that he is bad, not that he's going to put the team on his back and win the game every single time, but that he can get you there. I always hesitate to say game manager. I don't think that's what he is, because he can make dynamic plays with his legs. He's smart. He's old. He knows his stuff, and he has tremendous weapons. I'd put him in tier 2.
When we think about where Missouri is and the faith that you all have put into Drink and giving him time, what kind of lesson can that be for A&M?
Man, I think A&M could be so just unstoppable with patience. And, I think the other thing, though, is that you all have tremendous talent at all times. And so every year is a win year, and that makes a ton of sense. As Missouri fans, we are been conditioned to be patient. Gary Pinkel took 3 to 4 years to get started, and then the Chase Daniel years came, and then we made it to the SEC and made it to the championship game twice. So we are good with patience. The reason Barry Odom got run off was because he was kind of a pain to work with, and he was not easy to work with, and he wasn't getting the results. But with Eli, the COVID year, that's a wash. He got us to 5-5 and made us feel better. The next 2 years, 6-7, that wasn't great, but we knew that, he was telling us, hey, we got a good team coming. The recruiting was there. You could see things getting put together. It just hadn't come together yet. For A&M, you all can get any coach that you want. You can get any player you want. I understand there's an impatience there. At the same time, you have a tremendous coach. You have a freaking football coach who's got incredible talent. And yeah, maybe he's got to go heavy in the transfer portal year 1. Maybe he doesn't quite have his guys yet, but you saw what he did at freaking Duke. Just imagine what he can do with A&M's resources. Give him 3 years, right? Just don't call for his head until year 4. See what he can do, because I want him as my coach. If we didn't have Drink, I'd want Mike Elko. And putting him with A&M's resources and their player potential, I think that's a marriage made in heaven.
Well, let me ask about Drink, because another great season, somebody's going to be calling. But he strikes me as somebody who's very happy at Missouri. We'll see does he come across that way locally? Is he looking for the next big gig, or does he think this is my big gig?
Well, it's July 26, 2024, so I'm going to say he's happy. Now, if you asked me July 26, 2021, I probably would have told you he would take the first ticket out of there, that he was building this program to get to 9 or 10 wins and then flash the deuces and get the heck out. But he started making inroads with local businesses. Really, when NIL opened up, and that was an above board sort of thing, you realize that there was a ton of Missouri boosters and donors and businesses that wanted to help. They just didn't want to cross into what they deemed illegality with the NCAA. He made inroads with those businesses. He was able to wrangle cats with our boosters, and he is really well connected very, very quickly, especially in the St. Louis area. He's working on Kansas City. He is working with the state government. He created an NIL law, got it passed so that high school students in the state of Missouri can earn NIL whenever they commit to the school. He has those connections there. Not only that, but he has a really good team. He's able to recruit to Missouri like no one has ever recruited before. As longtime Mizzou fans, we never thought we could ever get any blue chip, let alone a blue chip from Pennsylvania, from Florida, and now we're ruling those guys in. He has, if he asks for something, he gets it. He can recruit at a school that does not recruit at an elite level. And the fan base, although will always pop off, because every fan base pops off, is actually pretty patient and is not going to run you off for going 8 or 9 wins and a bowl team when you think you should have won 10 or 11. I'm not saying this is the best job ever. I'm not saying he's got 100% job security, but it's pretty dang close. And he's doing it in the SEC. He's making $7 million a year. If he wanted to go somewhere else, could you make 8? Sure. Do you make 8 for 2 years, or do you make 7 for 5 years? What does he value? And I'm not sure what that is, but I think he is way happier now. Now that he has the state business support and government support and just knows that he can get anything he wants, he would have to get flashed a ton of money to take a riskier job. But, I'm not him. So I'm going to say he's happy, but you'd have to ask the guy himself.
Now you got about 30 seconds left. What about the additions to the conference? Or the old Big 12 friends, are you all looking at that like, cool, welcome, or like, I kind of like the way it was?
I mean, as the newbies, we're not going to turn our nose up at somebody else coming in. Obviously, we were, lambasted for leaving. I'm sure you all at A&M got a little bit of the same too. Texas ruins everything they touch. I'm not super excited about them coming in. I'm curious how that works out. I am glad Oklahoma's back. They have been chesty and loud online, and they can't believe that we're here and having success. I'm very glad they're back, and I hope we beat them this year. I think it's good overall, but Texas sucks. Have them go away.
Yes, sir. That was good stuff there, Nate. Appreciate your time, man. We'll talk to you right before the game, all right?
All right, thanks a lot.
Take care. Nate Edwards there. You can find his work at Rock Nation. Does good stuff. I appreciate his time. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with one final segment. But right now, let's talk Hush and Whisper. Get your space ready for a holiday party. That can be done at Hush and Whisper. Contact them or submit a request on their events page at hushandwhisper.com. Last year, they've hosted a bunch of parties. They're going to continue doing so. If you haven't been to Hush and Whisper, you're missing out. It's an awesome venue. It's so cool just to go hang out. You got some buddies in town this weekend? Go to Hush and Whisper. You want to impress your wife? Go to Hush and Whisper. You want to just, learn about, the whiskey process, how they make it, the gin, the vodka? Go to Hush and Whisper. It's got this like 1930s vaudeville kind of vibe to it. It's in downtown Bryan in the Verisco building, and it is so, so cool. You can go there, reserve a tour and a tasting or just a tasting. You can learn about the Kentucky Chew, how to prepare your palate. They'll teach you all the nuances of flavor and just how to get it all done. Buy a bottle, experience it at home, gin and vodka. They're open Thursdays and Fridays from 2 to 11, and then on Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. You can find them at 219 North Main Street. That is 219 North Main Street at hushandwhisper.com. Again, that is hushandwhisper.com. All right, it's time to end the day with Double Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Days. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledays.com, and your favorites are on the way. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson, we got an interesting text message that came in. Your mic's not on, though. Oh, my God. Fire.
Brutal. Text message just said, a quarterback is only as good as his offensive line, which, a lot of times is true. He said Mond was getting drilled play after play due to playing behind the worst offensive line in college football.
Maybe well, I don't know about the worst.
2020.
2020, the Maroon Goons
were awesome. They were in the running for the Joe Morgan Award at the end
Remind
of the year.
me, we got Ryan McCollum. We had
Ryan McCollum. You had Kenyon Green. You had Jared Hawker. You had Carson Green and Dan Moore. And then
who came off the bench?
Blake Robinson's coming off the bench. And then Aggie was on that team. Blake Traynor was on that team. Chris Morris. I mean, it was a good offensive line. I mean, he was one of the best in the country.
Maybe his point is when they had a good offensive line, look how good Kellen Mond was. So, good offensive line here. What does that mean? Vamos a ganar. What does that mean?
We're going to win.
How do you understand Spanish?
It took 5 years.
Okay, well, then you can close the show with a Spanish saying.
Adios.
That's it?
No, I see. You put me on the spot there. That's tough. Conversational Spanish
Nos vemos.
is not my...
We'll see each other?
Yeah, we'll see each other.
In Spanish.
Oh, what if I just said hasta luego?
Hasta luego.
Hasta
lunes. We'll see you on lunes. See you then.